71,071. Infection, Kazan, such a great ideal, beautiful, ask for customization, ask for flowers, ask for tickets. Kill Redfield with just one blow? Shiki couldn't help but froze in place. With a glance, he saw Redfield fainted in the ruins. Really dumbfounded. Shiki and Redfield just played against each other, although not having fun. But in a duel with masters, you can measure the weight with just one shot. Shiki knows that Redfield is a combination of knowledge, conquerors, armed color, and swordsmanship, all of which have been cultivated to extremely high levels. But it's okay to say hello, but you have to admit Redfield's strength. A one-shot thing. A path Shiki never envisioned. But it really happened before my eyes. Groove. This knife contains the mighty Conqueror's haki. Black-red slash? My elder brother has developed a new high-level application of haki. The development of reading people's hearts by knowledge and knowledge is outrageous enough. Now Conqueror's is back with something new. Doesn't seem to be the same as Conqueror's winding. This kind of haki's development speed, the genius Shiki can't accept it. Sure enough, is the combination of swordsmanship and haki the ultimate combat mode? Brother, what kind of move is this? Shiki's eyes were full of desire for power. Shiki, this is to strike Conqueror's haki into the enemy's body, attacking the most vulnerable places such as internal organs, muscles and bones, etc., to achieve real internal destruction. You will find that there is no scar on the surface of Redfield. Soon, Shiki returned lightly, confirming Kazan's words. Hiss. That stupid red pig has no scars. But rolling his eyes and spitting blood, this slashing move is impossible to defend against. Shiki always feels that his big brother is always at the forefront of high-end. The other side. When Redfield opened his eyes, it was already noon the next day. Looking at his head, he could find a huge Nuxus hovering over him, giving himself a piece of coolness in the scorching sun. And under his body was hard gravel. It's hard, the whole body hurts from the diaphragm, and it feels like every muscle has been torn apart by violence. It is clear. Redfield also lies in the ruins of a site that was previously bombarded. Recall the scene of the previous battle. Redfield's expression was indescribably complicated. I was killed by that man in a single blow. How could it be possible? That 1 second of foreseeing the future clearly saw that he was repelled, but the result now is that he was seriously injured and fell asleep for a whole day. This has never happened before. That kind of terrifying slashing attack that contained Black's violent thunder actually bypassed his own defense and directly crossed the border to reach the depths of his bones. What a fighting skill it is. Originally thought that the ability to kill the knowledgeable branch was perverted enough. Originally thought that others had the ability to read people's hearts enough to surprise myself and return the result. Unexpectedly, that man actually has the ultimate move of Conqueror's high-level use. Invincible, killing move. Unstoppable, killer move. Moreover, even if he is in a coma, after the opponent defeats him, there is no need to read people's hearts and read his own memory. I was underestimated. Could it be that his fighting skills are so insignificant in front of him? Isn't he curious about his own secret? Reading is in your hand. You are reluctant to use it, right? Realizing that he was neglected, Redfield actually had a desire to take the initiative to talk, and he also had an inexplicable admiration for Kazan's qualities. This is his whole life. It was the first time I met someone else's dimensionality reduction blow. Yes, dimensionality reduction strike. The big pirate kid with a head of 3 billion is not weak, but in front of the red-haired man who has a god's evasion, it's just a matter of a knife, and he didn't know what happened until he fell into a coma. Possessing advanced combat skills is indeed equivalent to having the ability to reduce to strike. Because this is a combat mode that novices never imagined. Taste it for the first time. The top is very normal. Didn't Luffy roll his eyes when Kaido's conquerors entangled him and knocked him out of breath without realizing it? However, when Redfield fell into a battle of memories, the Amazon ship doctor of the flying pirates came over. Pat, you have been in a coma for a day. The captain asked me to check your injuries. Don't move, you have to cooperate. Pat, don't call me Pat. Do I know you well? Looking at the ship's doctor holding a syringe, a transparent liquid medicine came out of the needle. Redfield felt uncomfortable and reluctant. Aloof, he never needs anyone's attention. Not even medical treatment. No, I can do it myself. Hiss. Get out of the way. I can get up by myself. Redfield was about to get up, but found that he couldn't move at all. Explosive pain came, as if every cell was being corroded by sulfuric acid. It hurts. It hurts. Fine. The kindness was rejected, and the ship doctor was about to order it with a medical kit. But Redfield suddenly asked, "Over there, what is it?" "3 belts and 1 airplane." "Sorry. Hurry up, all the flowers I've been waiting for are gone." Wong bomb. I only have 1 card left. It's been a pleasure working with you local farmers." Redfield rolled his eyes and looked around. A group of female warriors gathered around a table, shouting slogans, with cheerful smiles on their faces. The cheerful atmosphere spread out, and Redfield couldn't help but be infected. He's used to loneliness, and he hasn't seen such a happy scene for a long time. The ship doctor followed Redfield's gaze and saw 2 or 4 Amazon lily warriors gathered in front of a table, waving poker cards in their hands, and there were some onlookers around cheering. It's a card game invented by Captain Kazan. Fight the landlord. The crew of our flying pirates love to play. The captain often plays cards with the Empress on the ship. Redfield, fighting the landlords. Captain. It turned out that the man who defeated me was the captain of the flying pirates. His name is Kazan. Remember, this guy is strong, insanely strong. Then, attracted by another laughter, Redfield looked to the other side again and asked, "Where's the one over there?" "It's not to fight alone, but it's a tune. The big bar is blooming. Thank you, everyone. The little paste is poured out, and the pockets are full. Everyone, please prepare berry in your pockets. All in one color. Lousy is playing cards. Master Shiki is really amazing." Laidfield saw that the blonde boy who had fought against him before was playing with few women with square stones. The stones were stacked in a row, and they were flicked out by fingers from time to time. Another very novel thing. Redfield was very curious. That the ship's doctor explained. Vice Captain Shiki plays mahjong. By the way, Shiki-sama is Kazan-sama's younger brother. Mahjong is also a card game project invented by our beloved Captain Kazan. Mahjong is so fun. Master Shiki will call several female warriors in the middle of the night because he plays mahjong in his room. After a game of mahjong, usually you won't leave the room the next day. As the ship doctor spoke, a reddish intoxication appeared on his face. Apparently, she also plays mahjong all night long with Shiki. Deputy Captain Shiki. Okay, it's these 2 brothers. But then Kazan is a gaming genius. He invented so many fun things. Redfield traveled the sea for several years and got a lot of memories of pirates. But in the amateur life of those pirates, except for drinking, it's just chatting and farting. Simply boring. Every time Redfield reads the memory, he always looks disgusted. I was looking for happiness in other people's minds, but it turned out to be so low level. However, in fact, Redfield has never encountered such advanced entertainment items as the Flying Pirates Duty Zhu Mahjong, and he is actually a little curious at this moment, curious about how these items are played. They were having so much fun. Have to say, the pleasant atmosphere of playing cards is very touching for a lonely person. There is even an urge to get involved. Redfield was attracted again and frowned. What about there? Things over there. The entertainment items over there seemed to be a bit different. Redfield couldn't move his eyes. Only the beads can look to the other side. I saw that there were 2 Titan warriors, Charlotte Lin, and many male pirates in the open space, shaking their heads crazily with the fierce sound of snake-skin drums. With the rhythm of the music, the hair of various colors flicked wildly and danced happily. Even the 2 swimming snakes, Newcomer and Lime, were also mixed in the crowd. The snake's head stretched and retracted, the snake's mouth opened, and the snake letters stirred rhythmically, and the snake was also very excited. The snake-skin drum brought out by Amazon Lily is very touching. In the picture, people, snakes, and surroundings are very intoxicating. When the ship's doctor heard it, it was full of black lines. He glanced contemptuously at Redfield lying on the ground. Thought, although the things that Master Kazan invented are very interesting, but Redfield is too new to the world. Kazan-sama also said that this guy is very strong. That one. The ship doctor nodded and patiently explained to him. That is disco. Disco is a dance that releases emotions. If you shake your head and brain to the beat of the music, your emotions will explode with excitement. Just jump on the disco, and you can be energetic all night. Especially those 2 titans, Mr. Molly and M. Artemoku. They are not the crew of our flying pirates, but because they love disco very much, they have been on board for more than a month, and they still don't want to leave. However, according to Lin Lin, they have fallen in love with the happy atmosphere of the flying pirates, which they have never experienced in their decades of sailing career. They brothers, just wait for Captain Kazan to nod and allow them to join. Asterisk T. Is there anything else you can do, Pat? Pat. Hiss. Hearing this, Redfield was a little stunned. Another new game. So many games. It's still fun. Huge. Terran Warrior stays on board for a game. Still waiting for Kazan's approval to join the flying pirates? The atmosphere of the flying pirates seems happier than the barren pirates. Mr. Pat. Hearing this, Redfield came back to his senses. I'm fine, let me lie down for a while. Galoialu. The hunger in Redfield's stomach came. The ship's doctor said to bring some food. But this time, Pine did not refuse. After the ship doctor left, Redfield looked at another clearing. There. Kazan was exercising swords with Tianashua. When the sound of clanging swords collided, Shiki and Stussy applauded appreciatively. Surrounded by onlookers, there was worship and applause everywhere. Master Kazan is awesome. Oh, it's such a wonderful picture. It's so beautiful. Miss Tinua's sword dance is so beautiful. Redfield closed his eyes and looked no further. In their eyes, there is sincere worship. It's not like acting. Time passed quickly. 7 days later, Redfield was finally able to stand up. Finally, he broke away from the ruins where he had been lying for 7 days. He felt like his bones are going to go stiff. 0-0. Although the injuries on his body were not completely healed, he was able to move freely. During these 7 days, the banquet of the flying pirates has never stopped. All kind of games, fighting the landlord, cards, mahjong, werewolf killing, Three Kingdoms killing, glass marbles. On the entire island, only Ladefield was lying alone. Simply, the joyful atmosphere never stops. You are the one that was missed. And Redfield also used to read people's hearts, read several members of the weak flying pirates, and obtained part of the memories deep in their minds. Of course, Redfield is a man of principle. The flying pirates did not kill themselves. They provided exquisite and delicious food every day, and even sent a ship doctor to treat themselves. It would be a bit heartless to inquire about their secrets. So, Redfield only reads some less important memories. It is the kind of memory that asks and gets the answer. Of course, Ladefield is a lonely person. He doesn't want to communicate with people too much, so naturally he can't ask. He can only read people's hearts. But this part of the memory is irrelevant. Shocked Redfield. Kazan, this guy not only defeated me, but also took pity on me. In order to prevent an accident to an immobile self, he actually held a banquet to delay the 7-day departure of the pirates. Itinerary, the boat doctor, food, and even shelter from the wind and rain are all arranged for myself. Even, he didn't take advantage of his weakness to pry into the secrets of his heart. A mighty man. Even more terrifying. What's even more frightening is that the entire pirate group worships Kazan brothers crazily. Law. Even the titans who are not members of the pirates, Imoku, all praise the Captain Kazan. Towards a pirate group that can fly. A gigantic kingdom in the air. Sky Island, floating island, Sky Kingdom. Kazan, what a great ideal. Captain Redfield can act now. The ship doctor walked up to Kazan and reported to Kazan. Kazan raised a hand, and the party stopped immediately. All the subordinates began to pack tables, chairs, carpets, tents, and other props, and then move them to the News West together. Soon, at the scene of Sleeping Ancient Island, there was no trace of the banquet anymore. Everyone go. All aboard the News West. The News West gradually floated into the air. 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters. Seeing the ship flying higher and higher and getting smaller, Redfield stood on the island of Sleeping Ancient Town, and he was completely stunned. Yes, looking at the sky, he was completely stunned. No. Didn't you say before the fight that you will pay the price if you lose? I lost. What is the price? Now I am cured by you, I eat your food, and I see through my eyes that I have gained so much unexpected happiness that I have never had in a few years. Result. What is the price I have to pay? I haven't paid the price yet. You are leaving? Kazan, what do you mean? You want to leave without saying hello? Fuck. What do you mean by that, Guang? 72072. Bloodbat. fruit distribution, the birth of the strongest combination in history, subscribe. The Nuxus slowly floated into the air. Kazan stood at the bow of the boat, the golden hair praised, majestic. He wears first-generation Onitsu on his waist. In his hand, he held another sword with a unique shape. This is an umbrella sword. This umbrella sword, the scabbard is an umbrella. It is an umbrella that can really be opened, but the scabbard is made of special black metal. Inside the umbrella pole, there is a slender double-edged sword hidden. The hilt has a bat-shaped pattern, and the whole sword reveals a strange atmosphere. This is a demon sword dug out from the wild sword mound in Wanakuni. It's called Bloodbat. The quality is Dequidao 21. The reason why Kazan knows about this knife is because there is a famous knife noble Tanish by his side. And why take it out? Of course, look at the performance of Redfield below. During the banquet, Kazan is also observing the emotional changes of Ladefield. Ladefield went from withdrawn at the beginning, refusing everything, to a trace of longing in his eyes and gradually accepting. All the changes in Ladefield were noticed by Eason. Pirates hold infinitely joyful banquets, which have a subtle influence on Redfield. A person who is used to being alone on the sea is extremely eager to release his emotions, especially the opposite emotions of loneliness. Redfield's loneliness is nothing more than an ugly idea of human beings, a medical hope. What if it is positive? This will be a mental correction with great lethality. Kazan arranged and operated the whole happy banquet behind the scenes, which was also a means to stimulate Redfield. Certainly, all this, other people do not know the reason. When they heard that there was going to be a banquet, everyone naturally expressed their true feelings and participated in the ceremony. It can make everyone happy, and it doesn't exist in the first place. No. Kazan wanted to see if, according to Ladefield's character, that kind of aloofness, he could express his aloof personality as he imagined. Redfield 503 still owes himself the price for losing the duel. A lonely and proud man. If you lose, you will immediately think about how to fulfill your promise. Now Redfield owes a huge favor to the flying pirates. If you ignore it and go straight away. For someone as lonely as Redfield, it hurts my pride so much. We'll remember forever. Looking down at Ladefield, who was standing there in a daze, Kazan couldn't help laughing in his heart. Probably it was a strong struggle. However, even if the judgment is wrong, Kazan doesn't care. It's just a week. Owning pure gold, a year is nothing. And if the judgment is correct, Redfield can be recruited into his camp. The flying pirates will increase their combat power by an explosive force. After all, he is a man who can be as tough as Kong, and a single pirate who is as famous as Whitebeard Roger, and his strength is not far behind. Let the two sides meet again, taking advantage of Redfield's 20-year-old refusal to subdue, and when he grows into a lonely Red, his personality is basically fixed at that time, so there is basically no need to think about it. Soon, Redfield's voice came from below. All the members of the flying pirates came to the railing and saw the black shadow waving their hands. Hello. The price I have to pay. Bastard. Lousy is not someone who can afford to lose. Kazan, who the hell are you underestimating? Redfield's voice came. Shiki suddenly remembered and asked, Good guy. I forgot if this kid didn't tell me. Brother, I'll go down and collect interest right now, brother. What do you want him to pay? I don't think he has much berry on him. Now Redfield is like Roger and others. Roger still has more than 10 million bounties. Didn't take this guy seriously. In addition to being strong and having a strange personality, there is only a strong body left. Ignore him, Kazan said flatly. Shiki also thought that his big brother would never do useless things. Since he valued this man and read so much, everything he did must have his reasons, so he stopped asking about it immediately. You guys are bastards. If you don't talk about it, I'm going to board the boat and ask for an explanation. Redfield jumped anxiously and spoke loudly again. But soon, a black knife was dropped from the sky. Umbrella sword. Redfield reached out to catch it, and he naturally wouldn't think it was a simple umbrella. The bloodbat came out of its sheath, and the cold light shone. Good knife. What does he mean? I'm the loser. Kazan won me, and you want to give me a famous sword? When Redfield looked puzzled, Kazan's voice passed down. Redfield, the price I want you to pay is to let you aboard. This knife is called Bloodbat. If you want it, hold on. Hearing this, Goldfield hesitated. Kazan's purpose, Redfield knew. But I am a lonely person, and I don't want to join any pirates, But after thinking about it, I met the Baron Pirates who were full of joy when I was a child, and I was also infected by the Baron Pirates. They came up with the idea of going out to sea, just looking for a team that I have never met before. There's no team like the Baron Pirates, so be alone. Right now, the Air Pirates seem to be doing well. Famous knife. Is Kazan stepping down for me? If I give up, that guy Kazan should just walk away. Redfield feels the blood bat, and it is definitely a rare treasure knife, and the bat pattern on it is completely in line with his own aesthetics. That guy Kazan really understands me. But he didn't read his own memory. Blood bats are marked floating by Kazan. At this moment, Piao Piao's ability was activated, and the blood bat trembled slightly, floating upwards. This upward force. Is that so? No wonder Kazan told me to hold on. Forget it, Redfield seemed to have given up thinking at this moment, and he no longer thought about those strange things. He directly held the blood bat, and under the blessing of Piao Piao's ability, the blood bat kept bringing Redfield up, until Redfield holds a blood bat, stands on the board of Nuxus. Kazan smiled inwardly. Redfield was bound to the boat by himself. However, this kind of person is not suitable for any welcome ceremony, and it is enough to just dump the position on Redfield's head. Anyway, the problem is not big, so Kazan immediately changed the topic. Sengoku and Lin have already told me that the two of you brothers want to join the Flying Pirates. I want to make sure. Did I say true? Boss Kazan, it's true. I hope Boss Kazan won't refuse. Moli, the head of Sengoku's huge round neck, immediately nodded in a foolish manner. Very good. The future commander of the Morley army of the Jimming army was also easily captured. Moreover, the Titans have a long lifespan. Moli and Sengoku have been at sea for decades and have experience as captains, so they can be regarded as one of the characters. Currently, the key figures of the entire Flying Pirates are Kazan, Shiki, Redfield, Shaki, Charlotte Lin, Tianushiwa, Stussy, Molly Sengoku Longbread. It is already a small pirate group with 10 core members. Of course, there are more than 6,000 subordinates. Most of them are female warriors from Amazon, and the rest are members of the Lin Pirates. In Kazan, Shiki, Redfield, Shaki, Charlotte Lin, these 5 people will definitely join the list of top powerhouses in the future. It is the role of domination. As for Moli and Sengoku, Kazan is going to let them eat Min fruits and Dao fruits. Their future achievements are not clear, but they are Titans. Constitution has great potential and is definitely suitable for eating devil fruits. As for Stussy, Tianushiwa, a scientist, and a young lady, their combat power is a little weaker, but if they find a suitable devil fruit for them, maybe they can also inspire. Calendar. Longbread is very shrewd, but his fruit ability limits him, so don't think about his combat power. It's time to organize the team and make it an invincible force. Kazan, Shiki, and Redfield, this terrifying combination has raised the configuration of the pirates to a terrifying level. Then, welcome to join the Flying Pirates. From now on, everyone on board will be a member of my Flying Pirates. Kazan. Roar. Long live the Air Pirates. Joyful voices immediately sounded on the deck. Call. What Kazan said is very clear, and Redfield naturally understands that if he chooses to hold the blood bat and not let go, he has already chosen to join the Flying Pirates. It's nice, though, that Kazan didn't specifically bring up Redfield's name. All attention. For lonely people, they will blush. Just thinking about that picture gave Redfield goosebumps. No. The team has basically recruited suitable people with unlimited potential and is a force that cannot be ignored on the SEA.AS. The captain, Kazan, is also starting to determine the positions of some people on board. Roger is a combination of gold, silver, and copper, and Kaido is a combination of big kanban. What combination would you like to make yourself? However, considering that it was only today that Ladefield and others were confirmed to join the group, so Kazan decided to postpone it for a few days. Simple recruiting, ending in joy. Play around and make trouble. On the broad deck of the Nuxus, figures were running around, bustling everywhere. At night, the Nuxus was sailing at low altitude. Master, the servant's house is going again. Stussy really has a talent that cannot be hidden. Everyone else collapsed and surrendered, and she was flooded in wave after wave. Of course, Kazan couldn't help feeling refreshed every time. The rosy-faced Shaki suddenly said, "Hey, is that portrait Sister Tinshue?" Tian curled up under the blanket, trembling uncontrollably in a certain position. "Sister, No, that's the ancestor of our Tianyue family, Tianyue sure. Sister, you two are so alike, like twin sisters. Stussy recovers from the stimulation. This portrait was brought out by Tianyue Shue from Wanakuni, and it was just hung in a corner of the room today. Tainyushi was the ancestor of the Tianyue family more than 700 years ago, but only one portrait has been handed down, and an illusion passed down by word of mouth, which has been passed down within the Tianyue family. In the ancient portraits, Tainyushi has green hair and a famous knife pinned to his waist. Temperament and weather. The appearance is also more than 95% similar. People who don't know the situation will think that the two are twin sisters. Ding, you have watched the portrait of Tianyue Sure of the Tianyue family, and the experience value is plus 1 million. Kazan is very strange, and a glance at the portrait also increases the experience value. When is the moon? The ability user of that time fruit will later travel through time and space and come to modern times. The timeline is still early, so I didn't ask too many questions. But I have to say, Tainyushi and Tainyuexu really look like twins. A grandparent, a junior spanning 800 years. The genes of the Tianyue family are truly miraculous. A few days passed. The Nuxas stopped above a desert island. Kazan considered the layout of the flying pirates. Now organize a party for everyone. Nuxas, the chamber. Kazan is sitting on the captain's throne, standing beside Shaki, Tianyue Sure, and others, while Shiki is standing in front. Next to him are Redfield, Molly, Emoku, Charlotte, Linlin. The rest of the crew stood further out. After everyone is here. With a wave of Kazan's hand, 3 devil fruits appeared out of thin air on the table in the center of the conference hall. Redfield saw a miraculous scene. I couldn't help but be amazed. Captain Kazan's methods are really amazing and shocking everywhere. The green wind dragon that can raise the sail. The fluttering ability to levitate everything. Now it's the ability to fetch objects from a distance. This man is indeed the strongest man I have ever met, with outrageous means. 3 devil fruits. Kazan explained. Oh, devil fruit. Not everyone in the pirate group has seen devil fruit, but IT was the first time they saw such a strange fruit. Everyone was amazed and couldn't help but look at it curiously. Distorted patterns, strange shapes, weird colors. Each of them is the most miraculous superpower on the sea. Devil fruit is the secret treasure of the sea. Each one is worth hundreds of millions of berries. The captain took out these fruits. Soon, Kazan introduced, this white devil fruit is Paramecia door fruit. Any object that the eater can touch will become a door and can be opened, but you can open the door anywhere and go in and out freely. It can even affect the human body, considering that the Titan family constitution has a huge bonus. Molly and Moku, which one of you wants this Minmin Leguo? Kazan didn't deliberately name anyone, but he believes that people and fruits will have a response in the dark. This. Emo Lee and the Emoku Titan brothers looked at each other in disbelief. They know the value of devil fruit. It's just a few decades of sailing career, but I've only seen people with abilities, and I've never seen devil fruit 0.8. The 2 brothers have long been interested in devil fruit, but they haven't seen it yet. Opportunity to get. But now, the Titan brothers have just joined the flying pirates. In a few days, will the captain reward you with a treasure like devil fruit? How can this be? We are not worth it. Boss, we have not made any contribution to the team. Will this devil fruit? Emoliamo said at the same time. Kazan waved his hand casually. You don't have to worry about this. The voice fell. Emoli immediately fell into a deep shock. Seeing Kazan's firm eyes, it seemed that the captain had made a decision. The 2 brothers looked at each other as if Emoli was in love. The sense of reality is stronger. Boss Kazan, let me do it, Molly said seriously. With a casual finger, Kazan floated the Paramecia fruit directly in front of Molly and held it with 2 giant hands excitedly. In the hands of the Titans, devil fruit feels like the size of a glass marble. As for the other island fruit, Kazan let it float directly into Imoka's hands. The brothers of the Titan family were really shocked. Unexpectedly, the 2 brothers got the long-awaited devil fruit on the same day and at the same time, and they became more determined that it was the right decision to join the flying pirates. Good development can't live up to its own captain. The other members of the pirate group cried with envy. However, everyone knows the strength of Mo Lee and Mo Ku. Giving them devil fruit is undoubtedly the decision to maximize the team's income. He wants to then perform well in the future. Kazan didn't care anymore when he saw that the Titan brothers had already accepted them. Next is this. This is Zoan, bat fruit, phantom beast species, vampire form. Ability users will greatly enhance constitution and have the ability to fight as phantom beasts. Laidfield, what are your thoughts on this phantom beast vampire form? 73073. The team is ready. Nicole comes of age. The Age of the Valley of the Gods. Subscription required. Me? Thoughts on the vampire form of phantom beasts? Faced with Kazan's sudden question, Laidfield was a little stunned. Of course, Redfield could see it. According to Kazan's decision to give the dwarf fruit and the island fruit directly to Sengoku a minute ago, since he proposes it now, he intends to give this phantom beast to himself. But although Redfield was curious about the fruit, he didn't really want to eat it. It's been a few days since I joined the pirates. The favor of the famous sword Bloodbat has not yet been repaid. Do you want to give away Phantom Beast again? Originally, whether to eat or not was a problem, but now it is even more embarrassing. Seeing Redfield hesitant to speak, he was coy. Shiki immediately took a step forward, squinting one eye, and said, I said, Pat, you're like a bitch. My brother gave you devil fruit. It means this fruit is suitable for you. Hurry up. Redfield was stabbed and immobilized for 7 days. Kazan thinks that his Conquerors, which is less than level 60, won't hurt people like that. This person is used to celibacy, and his health is definitely not good. Therefore, in order to complement Laidfield's constitution shortcomings, Kazan planned to equip him with a phantom beast fruit, and the vampire form was given directly to him. Favor. Since it is going to be done, make a double copy. Famous knife fruit give. That's called chasing and feeding. Just to make that kid Redfield, blushing, feel embarrassed. And with Redfield's talent, designated to make the vampire form shine in this day and age. Captain Kazan, I see. Shiki, aren't you afraid that I can overtake you if I eat the phantom beast? Redfield blushed. He smiled awkwardly and changed the subject. Shiki said with disdain on his face, Che, Pat, you don't know Lousy was in the Sabaody tunnel and fought against 3 Zoans for a few blocks, and he never saw him lose Jean, afraid you are a night bird who eats the country's sun? Hey, chill. The purple devil fruit floated over and landed in Laidfield's hands. The fruit the size of 2 fists was heavy in his hands. At this point, Redfield would be lying if he wasn't excited. Point 19. He relied on his natural knowledge and ability to read people's hearts, and in previous battles, he had never experienced the feeling of being injured. This time he was critically injured by Kazan, and he lay down like a dead person for 7 days. It's not normal to feel anything. Is this a phantom beast? What was the most rare ability in the sea that the pirates used to think about? The ultimate fruit worth billions of berry. The captain sees that my constitution is weak, and phantom beast species can make up for this weakness. Jailpad is impressed by Captain Kazan's demeanor. As expected of a pirate group that I, Redfield, would join. Flying pirates, I'm committed. Seek Devil Fruit has been allocated. Kazan continued. Next, let me talk about the positions in the regiment. Shiki is the vice captain, and his job title is Admiral. When I'm not on the ship, the courtiers obey the orders of the envoy. Kazan has already analyzed the situation of this era to Shiki and the precautions. So, if he is not there, he will take care of the pirates, and basically there will be no problems. It is also time to exercise his ability to manage the team. Yes. Everyone answered with serious faces. The pirate group has been established for several months, and the captain finally remembered to take care of it. Admiral. Hearing this title, Shiki was overjoyed. The title of Admiral is a bit hockey. From today, Lousy Golden Lion is the vice captain of the Flying Pirates. Admiral Golden Lion? Lord Admiral? Boss Admiral? Hiss hiss. How to listen and how to feel. Jia. Shiki secretly covered his mouth in ecstasy. Kazan's voice fell again. Leadfield is the captain's deputy, and the position title is Earl. When the captain and deputy captain are away, the deputy can give orders on behalf of the captain. Count. My outfit prefers red. Red Earl? The needle does not poke. It is very in line with the temperament of the Earl. However, can you not be a deputy? I, the Lone Ranger, have never ordered anyone. Redfield kept muttering in his heart. Forget it. Anyway, there are Captain Kazan and Shiki's mate as the mate. It's okay if I don't talk. Soon, several positions were established. Kazan, the captain of the Flying Pirates, the title is Governor. Shiki, the deputy captain of the Flying Pirates, titled Admiral. Leadfield, captain's mate, title Earl. Shaki, Minister of Intelligence, title Chief of Staff. Stussy, Minister of Science, title Minister of Science and Technology. Loaf Shift. As for Charlotte Linlin, Molly, and Round, Kazan did not specify the positions, but briefly explained what they would do. Now the entire pirate group has only more than 60 people, and there is no detachment at all. Naturally, he couldn't be entangled in the position. Finished posting. Kazan also gives assignments to Shiki and Redfield. Let them use the Wanakuni information collected by Shaki, cooperate with Tainuexu, and in the next few years, get the Tianyue family and the Kurizumi family, because the mining area is located between the two families. Then control Wanakuni's liquor iron or sea stone. After Wanakuni, it can be regarded as one of the strongholds of a certain branch of the Flying Pirates. The two brothers Imo Lee and Imo Ku, apart from being with the group, are also developing Min Min fruit and Dao Dao fruit. These two devil fruits will be of great use in the future. Stussy? Kazan mainly asked her to study aerodynamics, pure gold, weapons, electricity, and those lunar technology handbooks that Kazan got in Sky Island. As for Charlotte Linlin, what can a child ask for? Kazan can only ask her to grow up quickly. The first meeting is over. News West. Deck. 20 meters above the ground of the deserted island. After you eat the devil fruit, there will be a few minutes of adaptation process. Just adapt to this ability on this desert island. Kazan looked at the three of them and said, when these people grow up, this force simply dare not think about it. Yes, Bone. Redfield, Molly, and Mocha took the lead and jumped down together. Brush, brush, brush. Time jumps at this moment. West Blue O'Hara. As the sun sets, the last golden afterglow is reflected on the sea level. Ah, sleepy. On the edge of the cliff, in front of you is the endless sea. A gold figure, sitting on the head of a green dragon perched on a grass. The faint green breeze blows, and the green dragon's hair is dancing with the wind. The gold figure packed up the books and jumped down. The wind dragon shrunk into Kazan's body. O'Hara's last book. Read it. Ding. Host read Battle of the Gods. Experience value plus 4 million. For a very long time. Kazan likes to take his wind dragon and read books on the cliffs of O'Hara. Go home. Go home. Shiki guys, it seems like they are coming tomorrow. I almost forgot the exact time. Over the years, Kazan has taken time to travel all over the world. He has been to Sixus in the East Blue, without the Maramara fruit, to Batheria, where Portcast D. Rouge was not yet born, and to the village of Kokosia, with only an orange grove. I have been to the Fishman Island, and found that the goldfish, Otoheim, has not yet been born. Hey, what a boring time. But the good news is, Kazan wears pure gold when he is 21 years old. Time seemed to freeze forever at the moment when he put on the pure gold. His appearance never changed, and his temperament did not stop because of time. It has been improved several levels. System, open the panel, and evenly distribute experience points to each entry. Host Kazan. Swordsmanship, IV 90. Physique, IV 90. Constitution, IV 90. Observation Hockey, IV 90. Foreseeing the future, reading people's hearts. Armament Hockey, IV 90. Flow, internal destruction. Conqueror's Hockey, IV 90. Entangling, knowledge kill. Lion Fruit, Wind Fruit, IV 90. First Awakening. Special Talent, listen to everything, treasure radar. Fortune, 100. Experience value, 0. Portable space of 3,000 cubic meters. Devil Fruit Mosaic Frame /book /pure gold /black boulder. Added a body art entry. All entries are at level 90. Lion Fruit Huffing Fruit, just awakened at level 90. Although it is not the limit of the system, it has already reached the peak of the sea. True Hex Warrior. My favorite phantom beast, Devil Fruit. Why haven't I met it before? The inlay frame is ready, but a new era is about to begin, and it will always come. After all, at this moment, it has been Sea Circle Calendar 1,478 years. The era of the Valley of the Gods is about to kick off. Kazan yawned, facing the sea, and stretched. No. Now that O'Hara's loan books are finished, it's time to move on to the next leg of the journey. It seems that tomorrow, Shiki and the others will all come over. And just when Kazan was about to get up, Russell, stepping lightly on the soft grass, a silver-haired figure appeared behind Kazan. Nicole Albia. When we met for the first time, Albia was still a 3-year-old girl, chasing Kazan all day long, calling Big Brother, and hiding in Kazan's blonde hair countless times to sleep. But now Albia is grown up now. She has long silver hair and a fully grown figure. Perhaps Albia has studied literature for a long time. The temperament of a scholar is undoubtedly evident on her face. The silver-haired beauty, cool personality, and profound knowledge are all on her face. Such a beautiful color with unique temperament. The whole ocean is alone. Kazan turned around and smiled. Nula Island Historic Site. How long have you been out? 3 months and 5 days. Albia smiled slightly. Has it been so long, I think? Kazan's voice was still there. With a puff, Albia hugged her directly. A soft squeeze came up, and Kazan stood in awe. Although the two fell in love very early on the island, and had an affair, and even Kazan lived in Albia's room all the time. However, Albia is pure. Anyway, I don't know which muscle is wrong, and I have to wait until I'm 18 to do something. Fortunately, there is no shortage of Kazan, so there is no rush. Albia's whining sound came from her bosom. Kazan, big brother, Nicole is an adult today. Burnt cake. It's a spicy feeling. Kazan's chest was wet. The next day, O'Hara. A transparent, 7-meter-high square door to space is opening. A gold figure with a red figure in front. He came out from behind the door with a group of figures. This is the ability of Paramecia's door fruit. Molly's door fruit has 2 main auxiliary abilities. 1, the person with the ability can open the door where they can see it and can lead people by themselves, through the opening location, through the space, and go to the target location. Yes, A space B, such a traveling mechanism. 2, the ability user can store a mark on a certain location like a magnetic pointer. This mark allows the ability user to lead other people across infinite space to any marked place. Gee, haha. O'Hara, I miss you so much. You see, I used to dig potatoes in that field and carry them with lion fruit. Shiki pointed to the land on the right and laughed. Lord Admiral, I didn't expect you to have such an experience. The person on the side covered his mouth and smiled. What about Governor Kazan? Shiki said with a smile. At that time I was working in 433 farming, and my brother was studying. What a diligent governor. Shiki waved his hand. Could check where my brother is. Yes, Admiral Golden Lion. Emoku nodded. Ding dong. Emoku jumped suddenly. The huge body of the Titan tribe burrowed into the ground, and then Emoku made of soil appeared in front of everyone. This is the ability of Shima fruit. Capable users can integrate into any island, detect desired targets, set up monitoring etc. At the same time, capable users can also temporarily change the shape of the island, such as creating a hill, moving a hill, etc. Of course, the island fruit ability user can also permanently change the structure of an island, but permanent change is like construction, and it takes a lot of time. Emoku used this skill to move all of Wanakuni's liquor iron ore together, and now almost all of Wanakuni's ore is contained on the territory of the Flying Pirates. Sea Stone. It can't be moved, but the pirate group has also occupied a piece of territory. Soon, Emoku's eyes were fixed. I found it. I'll bring the boss here. Rumbling. Present. O'Hara on the other side. Somewhere in a very ordinary yard. The sun is just right. Kazan is sitting in a rocking chair for morning reading. Nicole Albia's birthday was yesterday, and the two had a fantastic evening together. But Albia came back temporarily, just to be with Kazan on this special day of adulthood. After seeing it, she had already set off for Nura Island this morning to continue exploring the ruins. O'Hara's scholars are really dedicated. Rumble. Where Kazan was, a piece of land suddenly rose up. He sat in a rocking chair, as if sitting in a self-driving car, rumbled, and drove towards the outskirts of O'Hara. Shiki, why are you making such a big show? Kazan's face was full of black lines. Roadside. Grandma Jenny of O'Hara was startled when she saw that the ground was running like a horse. Kazan, what the hell are you doing? Young people are doing all kinds of things. Time passed, and in a blink of an eye, Jenny's big sister was already Jenny's grandma. In the past, Shiki used a string of bamboo baskets to carry potatoes and corn for her family. Kazan laughed. Ah, it's that guy Shiki. Exclamation point. Oh, Shiki is back. Then you bring him over to my house for dinner at noon. Grandma Jenny yells at Kazan. In the distance, the clover is already O'Hara's doctor. Kazan, the atmosphere on the island has changed as soon as Kazan came to O'Hara, and he is still a troublesome 2 billion big pirate. However, his knowledge is getting more and more profound. Makes my clover very comforting. Bang rumble. Kazan continued to move forward, and in a blink of an eye, he came to the suburbs and appeared in front of everyone. Dad dash, accompanied by the milky voice, a small figure. At this moment, Chi rushed towards Kazan. P.S. The time span of this piece is a bit large, but you must enter the Valley of the Gods, so it is understandable to look around. 74. Current status, floating island, leading a mission to Hakanosu. Subscribe. O'Hara, the milky voice drives the warm atmosphere. Kazan has one in each hand. He held two 2-year-old girls with bald heads in his arms. The girl in the left hand is called Kana, with gold hair, and is the child of Kazan and Yuanchi. The girl in the left hand is called Kathy, with green hair, the child of Kazan and Tainuexu. But what about? Maybe it's because Kazan has pure gold. What time is, don't care at all. Even if 15 years passed by in a flash, when we came to the Sea Circle calendar in 1478, Kazan is now 33 years old, but there is no trace of time carved on his face. There is plenty of time for carrying on the family line, and he is not willing at all. Children. It was Shiki and Tianyue who asked Kazan to sow the seeds at night 2 years ago. Women are all blessed with pure gold, so they can easily maintain the most wonderful age. They have the most perfect physical condition and can have children at any time. As for how to avoid pregnancy, those with lion fruit ability can float hundreds of millions of years. Scientific name, perfect beauty middle out. Want kids? There will be no perfect cream pie. Kazan asked Tianyue to be the parent and live in Amazon Lily so that they could grow up healthily. Have a happy childhood and say, dominating the sea is currently only a matter for them, the immortals. Brother, look, Sakura 10 would dry. Jihahaha. The knife was tempered 3 years ago. Sakura 10 woods are all black swords. Rub. Shiki took a few steps forward carelessly and showed the black sword in front of Kazan. Facing the younger brother who wants to praise, Zan is not very interested. Knife? First generation Guiche was 10 years ago. Okay. Good job, Shiki. Patting Shiki on the head, the doctor praised. Gee, ha 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 ha. Shiki and Kazan are twins, both 33 years old. But what? Shiki wore pure gold a little later, and his appearance stayed at 30 years old. His most notable feature is that a circle of gold lion's mane is connected to the corner, and Shiki's entire face is surrounded by golden hair. Lush gold's mane, chiseled face, and a gold robe make Shiki even more hockey. Looks a bit like a pirate admiral. Standing next to Shiki is the deputy, Redfield. Because of his vampire form, Redfield let himself go and grew to 35 years old. Anyway, he can adjust his age by sucking blood at any time. Governor. Redfield put one hand on his chest, lowered his head, and greeted him calmly. Kazan tapped Redfield on the shoulder. This guy, Ladefield, may have too much awe for Kazan. So every time I see Kazan, I feel a little restrained. But Kazan heard. This guy is the happiest among the pirates. Every kind of entertainment, mahjong, fighting the landlord, and so on. No one on the boat has played him. Tap dancing, jumping up and down is even more crazy. Redfield braided 2 black and red braids, covering the ears, and had gold nose rings on his nostrils. Red's cape, Red's dress, trousers, black leather shoes, blue rose decoration on the neckline. The overall collocation is very classic. On the other side are Mo Lee and Mo Ku, 2 Titan brothers. Titan has a long lifespan, and the two have not changed much except for dark spots on their skin and longer beards. And Shaki. Under the nod of Kazan, Shaki is 28 years old wearing pure gold, wearing the Emperor's costume with the characteristics of the daughter country, noble and hockey as a woman. She already wants to reach the ultimate. Tainuexu. She stopped time at the age of 19. With a pure appearance, she is still the best example of Zaijabyu. Even a slight eyebrow raising can make people feel affectionate. Stussy. At the age of 25, she chose to wear pure gold. On her hands, shoulders, and skirts, there are all kinds of gemstones embellished. She has an elegant and noble temperament, which is firmly grasped by her. The thing that bothers Kazan the most is Charlotte Linlin. Now Linlin is almost 28 years old. If you don't pay attention, the old lady will be cold. Perhaps because of Linlin's weird constitution, she still can't get rid of her baby fat, which hasn't fully grown out, and the Napoleon pirate hat already has the prototype of a big pirate. But even though Linlin cried and begged Kazan, he was not allowed to sleep in the big room. FFLX. Linlin really can't hold it anymore. If this goes on like this, she will already be at the level of director. Linlin cried and wanted pure gold and cried and begged Kazan to be nourished. She always thought that the present was the peak of her appearance, and she was afraid that her blooming season would pass. She even gradually lost confidence in her appearance. But Kazan is a time traveler. Of course, I advise Linlin not to rush. He knows. It is now 1478, and there are 5 to 6 years left before the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Now, Kaido is still a stinking brat, and he hasn't joined the Rocks Pirates yet. Linlin in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods is a flower. No, the flowers are not in bloom, so Kazan must not be interested. Seeing that everyone has already set up a face-to-face meeting, Shiki came to Kazan's side. He introduced, "Governor, there are currently 2,320 members of the Flying Pirates. Wanakuni recruits and manages 1,400 people because of its huge mine reserves. The rest are ship attendants. One of them is from Amazon Lily, and the other part is Shiki, which Redfield has recruited in recent years. There are about 600 people in total. There are probably 600 crew members with a regiment. It's a small pirate group, but they are all elites. Members with poor potential are all guarding the mine at Wanakuni." Hearing this, Kajin took a look. There were only about 50 people who landed on O'Hara Island, and the rest stayed in the space of the fruit of the door, and no one came out. Those face-to-face members of the pirate group are showing their heads and looking curiously at Captain Kazan, who has never shown up. To know, Kazan's name often appears in the mouths of Shiki and Redfield. It is the existence that the two strongly admire. The new crew members naturally admired Kazan, and they couldn't help but wonder what their captain looks like. Now see, he's a handsome guy in his early 20s. Is he really Admiral Shiki's big brother? They both have blonde hair alike, but their looks are so different. Kazan thinks. So many people crowded in O'Hara is not a problem. Kazan, let's go and see the situation on Bagpipe Island first. Boss Governor, I'll open the door right away. Molly smiled. Soon, everyone followed Kazan and entered the door space. With a glass door of O'Hara door fruit closed. Behind a tree in the distance, Dr. Clover looked at the dark crowd in the distance and felt a headache. That guy Kazan is really a big pirate. I asked that Shiki, the longer he grows, the more fierce he is. Fortunately, they all left. Otherwise, O'Hara will be in big trouble. South Blue. A few minutes passed. More than 600 members of the Flying Pirates landed on a floating island in South Blue, from West Blue O'Hara through the Gatefruit. This floating island, floating in South Blue's 10,000-meter Takatomi. When Kazan visited South Blue 4 years ago, he accidentally discovered at a tea that time. He could already use lion fruit to float the island. The island, named Bagpipes. The natural environment of Bagpipe Island is very beautiful. There are mountains and water, green trees, and fertile land. Area. Twice the size of Yoder Rice Rosa. For 4 years, Stussy inspected the island and made a detailed and targeted design. According to the blueprint, Emoku used the ability of Dao fruit to transform. The underground facilities of Bagpipe Island have been completed due to partial renovation, such as wind tunnels, power systems, drainage systems, etc. It is worth mentioning that the wind tunnel, the underground of Bagpipe Island, has been transformed into tens of thousands of wind tunnels extending in all directions. These wind tunnels have been rigorously calculated by Stussy. The inside of the wind tunnel has an extremely complicated structure, and many technological facilities in terms of kinetic energy are installed. There are openings on the side of Bagpipe Island in all directions. Looking up, the bottom of the entire island is covered with sound holes like bagpipes. And the wind blows into the wind tunnel, and after a complicated circle, it can be ejected from the corresponding wind tunnel opening. With the help of wind, the floating island can be pushed forward and fly. Plus, Molly can integrate into the island through the island fruit and change the opening of the wind tunnel, thereby realizing the steering of the island flight. At the same time, because when the wind passes through the winding cave, it will produce melodious bagpipe-like music. So, Kazan named this floating island Bagpipe Island. With a delicate face, Stussy came to Kazan gracefully. "Master?" Stussy winked and said softly, "The underground of Bagpipe Island has been remodeled, and only the refined design of some power facilities is left, but making the island fly and use it is not a problem. And we have the fruit of the door, the fruit of the island, and it is easy to move construction materials from all over the world. As for the ground buildings, Sister Shaki has also started collecting information on stone materials." Shaki said helplessly, "I haven't found it yet. I'm wondering whether to use local materials or move other islands, cut them, and use them to make materials. It often takes hundreds or even thousands of years for other islands to build towns and build countries. Bagpipe Island is a wild island. It is from scratch, and it is too difficult to build in a short time. Is there really an island in this world that can provide so many building materials?" Watching a piece of wild Bagpipe Island, Kazan squinted his eyes. "Is it the building stone I have ready-made? Off the shelf? Stones are not weapons, not treasures. Pirates rarely come into contact with them, and even Shaki, an intelligence expert, cannot collect relevant information. After all, Bagpipe Island needs a lot of stones." Kazan's voice fell. Everyone immediately pricked up their ears to listen. "No way. Does the governor really have so many building materials?" Kazan thought for a while and explained to everyone. "East Blue, Mariewa built a sea-crossing bridge in the Kingdom of Bridges for 700 years. The bridge body and the stone collection points on the path are all cut stones. According to Mariewa's wealth, the quality of the stones is absolutely superior. We'll come over when we're free." Kazan's voice fell, and the collective went numb. Good guy. It's no secret that East Blue had a kingdom of bridges. But people have never thought of robbing the stone of the Mariewa Bridge. The road envisioned. What kind of thinking is this? How do you connect the cross-sea bridge with building materials? Fuck. Numb. Shiki, shit. My brother is a genius. Redfield. Nima. The governor is indeed invincible. Shaki, as expected of my man. Stussy. Master, your wisdom has given me spasms. Tianyuishu. My lord is very charming. Other pirates, the last time everyone was shocked was when Governor Kazan was there. Sincerely, the boss of the governor is really awesome. This is our captain. The screen changed. Shiki and Kazan are back again. West Blue O'Hara. Grandma Jenny's house. Agreed. Let's eat. The flying pirates have evacuated from O'Hara and returned to New World, leaving only 2 brothers in O'Hara. Certainly. There is also Molly on the island, waiting to open the door at any time. The Kingdom of the Bridge, the 2 brothers are going to go again later. With the change of times, the sea situation has become more and more compact. Pirates, Marine, have big moves every day. There are also some things that need to be handled by the Captain Kazan. Brother, we have set up a stronghold 500 nautical miles east of Hakanosu, and those Marines often trouble us. Shiki pulled the bowl and chopsticks. The familiar taste made Shiki drink a bowl of white rice. Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, and a stinky woman named Crane are all stationed in New World, and they seem to be fighting with our flying pirates. Naval Headquarters has also been enlisting aggressively in recent years. I have to say that Marine has a deep foundation. The recruitment order is sent out, and there are hundreds of responses from all over the world. Shiki burped. Being a pirate is a kind of tempering, and the real big era has not really come yet. These few years, Kazan let Shiki and Redfield play. Overall, they did a good job of building the pirates. As for Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, and Crane, the future Big Four of Marine, you can say they are aces, and they have grown up now. They are all Marine Vice Admiral and belong to the headquarters. Backbone. The combination of these 4 is indeed a big killer for Naval Headquarters. Rocks, any new moves? Kazan asked. Shiki touched the golden whiskers on his chin and frowned. That Rock's guy, he fought once, and his strength is unfathomable. At the beginning, Rock's often troubled Marine, and the bounty kept increasing. Rock's bounty increased. Brother, you didn't show up. The bounty also increased with Rock's, but for a few years. After that, your bounty will not move. It is estimated that Marine is watching you disappear. Marine gave up using your bounty, no gold, to stimulate Rock's. At the beginning, Naval Headquarters wanted to avoid the Rock's dominance. It was Sengoku from Rear Admiral who proposed to use a bounty that can suppress Rock's at any time to support the flying pirates to check and balance the balance between New World pirates. With Kazan disappearing from public view, Marine's plan gradually fell through. Kazan didn't see anyone. Nothing to do. No matter how much the bounty increases, no pirate will believe it. So far, Rox has gradually become the great overlord of the sea, and he has recruited 70,000 pirates, collectively entrenched in the Hive Island Hakanosu. Rox pirates. Suddenly, Marine dared not face up to the huge power. Rox also said that the reason why the stronghold of our flying pirates is allowed to exist is entirely because of your relationship. Rox sent a warning: if you don't show up within 3 months, brother, he will take our entire flying pirates away. Humph. What kind of bird is Rox? Shiki complained with disdain on his face. The meal is over. After the two brothers said goodbye to Grandma Jenny, they came to an open space outside. Since Rox want to meet up, let's go to Hakanos. Now Kazan's system rewards. All entries have reached level 90. Appraised by the system as the most versatile hexagonal peak warrior on the sea. Kazan's high-level use of various haki all grind gold to the level of professionalism. Lion fruit and foam fruit have all been awakened. Kazan has developed a variety of moves and can destroy a town with one blow. It is really easy to be forgotten by the sea after leaving for a long time. Time to turn the sea upside down. On the grass, Kazan opened his palm, and the first-generation Guiche was summoned from the space and landed in his hand. The unparalleled big sharp knife is pinned to his waist. Kazan's overall temperament instantly exploded. This sudden burst of temperament made Shiki and Amoli obviously stunned, and then they were so excited that they couldn't be more excited. Let's go lead the group to Hakanosu. The door of space opens, and the real legendary is about to enter the legendary stage. 75-075. The flying pirates arrive at Beehive Island and meet the arrogant Kaido. New World. Marine Branch X2, near the Hakanosu Sea area. Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, Crane, and several naval headquarters vice admirals gather in the meeting room to hold a meeting. Sengoku himself is a man with a high IQ, and his intelligence attribute was elevated by the form of the great Buddha of everyone fruit, making him a powerful, the resourceful general. Wisdom and bravery describe such a person. Sengoku outsmarted everyone else present in terms of strategy. Therefore, it was elected as a representative of this meeting. At this moment, Sengoku was standing in front of a sea map with a solemn expression, analyzing the situation. Do an analysis report for the new colleagues in the audience. On the map, the Hive, Hakanosu Island, is marked with a red X, in the most prominent position in the center of the entire map. Around the center of Hakanosu Island, there are more than a dozen islands scattered around. Among them, Marine selected 11 islands. A total of 11 marine branches from X1 to X11 were built on the island. These 11 marine branches are regarded as thorns in the eyes of the Rox. The Rox pirates and Marine, the two sides have fought dozens of times on these islands. The whole process lasted 10 years. Both sides suffered heavy losses every time, and of course, Marine lost even more. With the help of naval headquarters, a steady stream of map kings can be delivered. Destroy the building and rebuild it. If there are fewer soldiers, send them again. Naval headquarters insisted that 11 branches survived the crazy bite of Rox. This is the battle map of the sea area of Hakanosu. On the map, 11 marine branches have formed a siege network for Hakanosu. The missing point is outside Hakanosu at 3 o'clock. There is an island called Newfoundland. Sengoku collected himself. Use the command whip to point at the cross position on the map. This is Hakanosu. Then, Sengoku explained to his newcomers. After more than 10 years of deployment, 11 branches of our marine have deployed a tight encirclement net against Hakanosu. To a certain extent, Hakanosu is cut off from the outside world. Leaving the gap in Newfoundland is to prevent the Rox from engaging in a war of trapped beasts. After all, we currently have no way to eradicate the Rox pirates. Now, something happened. The gap in Newfoundland was occupied by the flying pirates a year ago. At first, I thought that this was the choke point, and Rox would take action to fight and snatch the flying pirates. But in the end, Rox didn't take action against the flying pirates. We underestimated Rox's endurance, since it is determined that Rox will not make a move. So, it's up to us Marine to take down the flying pirates, 443. Listen to Sengoku explain the battle situation. Those new Marine vice admirals also understood in an instant. In general, Marine has set up an encirclement circle for the Rocks pirates, but Marine does not have the ability to kill with one blow. So a gap is released to prevent Rocks from counterattacking, otherwise the price will be huge. But at the moment, that gap was occupied by an outside force, the Flying Pirates, and occupies such a key position. It's like contacting passing pirates in advance. Those pirates will most likely be recruited by Rocks. Now that the Flying Pirates occupy the front, it is possible to intercept these pirates and bring them under their command. But in this case, Rocks refrained from attacking the Flying Pirates. Because Rocks wasn't stupid, he knew that. Marine is using his fierce tiger to bite the hungry wolf of the Flying Pirates. Rocks would rather suffer than be this fool. Sengoku Vice Admiral. Why occupy the gap if we left the gap in Newfoundland? At this moment, a Marine Vice Admiral wondered. Originally, this gap was intentionally left by Marine, but now they want to take it back. Is not this contradictory? It's very simple. Sengoku explained patiently. Because an island occupied by forces is completely different from an island occupied by no forces, our Marine needs Newfoundland to be an idle island, not a pirate island. And the Flying Pirates are gradually expanding in size, which is getting worse and worse for our Marine. More importantly, my Marine has already reserved enough combat power. It's time to prepare for a huge war. Sengoku's tone was impassioned. The surrounding Marine generals heard a burst of enthusiasm. At this time, a Vice Admiral stood up and continued to ask questions. Sengoku Vice Admiral, but the Flying Pirates, New York, can fly. Beneath Sengoku's round hairstyle, a wise smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Of course, we have prepared a secret weapon against skyships. So, get ready. All Marines leave for Newfoundland immediately. On the other side, the island of Newfoundland. The Nooks stopped above the center of the island, at a position of about 20 meters, and there were ropes extending down the deck, making it easier for weaker pirate members to get on and off the ship. On the ground, various temporary buildings were erected. Inside a building, Kazan has come here from O'Hara. Looking at the map BJFH similar to that of Marine, and seeing the location of Newfoundland Island, Kazan couldn't help but twitch his brows. As Sengoku said, the location of Newfoundland is very ambiguous, almost a battleground for military strategists, and no one is moving now. IT is a three-party check and balance relationship among Marine, Rocks, and air pirates. But once a certain condition is broken, Newfoundland must be a battlefield. Kazan also sees something different about this location. He didn't know if Shiki did it on purpose, or if he didn't know the importance of this position. But now that you are back by yourself, have fun. Don't even care. There's no point in staying in this shitty place. It is better to just give up. After going to Hakanosu, just take the Marinex one branch directly. The condition of that island is better than that of Newfoundland. I remember the days when the two brothers lived in the warship at the beginning of time travel. I don't know if I live in the Marine branch. What kind of experience is it? Kazan directly ordered. All set out. We are going to Hakanosu. Follow orders. Avoid no one. There are more than 600 people in the pirate group, with excitement in their eyes, and they are busy working one after another. For a short time, Newfoundland became empty. It took less than 10 minutes to walk on the Nuxus. Newfoundland was surrounded by more than 20 warships. Looking ahead, nothing out of the ordinary about the island. Sengoku is numb. What's going on? There is no movement on the island. What about the pirates of the Flying Pirates? An hour ago, the spies sent back information, saying that Shiki and others are still here. Garp, so I'm lonely again. Zephyr, did that make that guy aware of something? Crane, play for fun, make trouble for trouble, don't make fun of beauty's sleep. At last, Marine still went to the island to check again. Except seeing the still burning fire. There are no other living people. I can only return bitterly. The other side. The News West finally saw the island. Hakanosu, also known as the paradise of pirates. Countless vicious big pirates gather here, venting their anger all day long and never seeing the light of day. Here, there are so many pirates with a bounty of tens of millions, and there are too many pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. Looking around, there is a very prominent skeleton-shaped building on the island. There is the base camp of the Rocks Pirates. After the disbandment of the Pirates of the Valley of the Gods, they were picked up by Achiku, who knows the current affairs. Later, in the era of evil in the plot, for Emperor's Blackbeard directly beat the old man and snatched the Hive Island. Throughout the long history, this place has been a gathering place for pirates. Whirring. The Nuxus hovered in the air. The members of the Flying Pirates lie on the railing and look down, can't help talking. This is Hakanosu. The skeleton building is very characteristic of pirates. Hakanosu is also known as the natural pirate island. After a long period of time, multiple spaces have been opened up inside the Skull Rock, where the Emperor's pirate house lives. And every head of Pirate Island lives in it now. It belongs to the Rocks Pirates. But besides the scenery, I heard that Hakanosu is filthy. Pirates on Hakanosu Island also notice the Nuxus in the sky. Can't help but look up one after another. The logo of the pirates that's the Flying Pirates. Are Shiki and the others going to land on Hakanosu? Is the ship in the sky really the same as the one in Legendary, a giant in the sky, with an overwhelming momentum? I heard that the captain of the Flying Pirates, Kazan, is not worthy of his name. It was Marine's scheme to raise the bounty to 2 billion berry. He has disappeared for a long time. He must have been fought by his own brother. Everyone, pirates, we are brothers too. Ha 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 ha. Brothers for one day, welcome for half a lifetime. Go and report to Captain Rocks. And at the same time, while the Nuxus was approaching Hakanosu, a powerful and twisted observation haki emanates from the inside of the skeleton building. Almost instantly, locked on the Nuxus. Also at this moment, a man with an afro suddenly stood up, and the famous knife on his waist flickered, exuding aura. This person is the owner of Hakanosu, Rocks D. Zebek. Rocks rested his left hand on the handle of the knife, twisting his neck. There was a crackling sound. How long? 20 years. Kazan, you are finally here. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. Wengha. However, Rock's strange laughter was only halfway through, and then suddenly stopped. Because Rock suddenly found out the color of knowledge that I radiate. The feature branches are all sealed by some kind of strange energy. This is... Never mind. Rocks didn't care too much, and removed the knowledgeable color. Stride towards the outside of Skull Rock. And at this time, on the Nuxus, Kazan showed a smile when he felt the color of knowledge disappear. Immediately took it away. King Color Hockey Branch, experience and kill. Da-da-da. Accompanied by a few light footsteps. 5 figures dropped from the news to the ground of Hakanosu one after another. Shiki, Redfield, Shaki, Linlin. We walked. Hakanosu is spacious, yet very dirty on the street. There are raging laughter of pirates everywhere. All kinds of pirates gathered together, pointing at the street ahead. At the same time, in the tavern, glass wine bottles of various colors were constantly being thrown out. Bang, bang. It hit the street and shattered the wall. Hey, you stinky brat. You actually killed a few more spicy chicken pirates. Smelly brat, are you ready to die? Ahaha. Yao ha. Bravely brat who ran into Hakanosu alone. Hakanosu is not happy to come. Go back or you will be carried to feed the fish. Follow the mocking eyes of the pirates. At this time, there were several bloody corpses of weak people lying on the street. The blood hasn't come out yet, just absorbed by the dry land of Hakanosu. These weak corpses are the object of everyone's ridicule. He was actually beaten to death by a stinky brat with a stick. Too weak. You deserve to lie down. Beside the corpse, a young man with horns on his head stood sideways. The face looks a little immature, but the height is already close to 2 meters. The horns extend from the messy black long hair, facing the sky, showing the uniqueness of the owner. People who don't know it think it is a decorative item. However, it was brought out by this youth race. The boy's race is called Ghost Race, and the boy's name is Kaido. Yes, that good teacher who wants to die but can't die, Mr. Guy who masters the stick education method. Kaido's clothes were in tatters, and he carried a bloody mace on his shoulder. Kaido simply ignored the taunts from the surrounding pirates. Drink spicy chicken. They are all things that dare not come out. There is a chicken in the mouth. What a bunch of hot chickens, and the notorious Hakanosu. What's the difference from a normal island? Kaido's eyes were arrogant, and he didn't say anything. It is obvious that the opponent just now is too weak, and the pirates in the tavern are too cowardly. Where's Kaido? He is from the kingdom of Folka, where wars have been happening all year round, and Kaido has been an orphan since he was a child. In order not to continue begging on the street, he joined the army of the main kingdom of Folka since he was a child. As he fought hard on the battlefield, Kaido became famous day by day. At the age of 10, he was already the strongest warrior in the Folka kingdom. Kaido cherishes this honor very much. In order to maintain his honor, he fought more recklessly on the battlefield, accumulating a whole body of martial arts. Result: the kingdom of Folka only gave him the title of the strongest warrior and did not continue to give him easy. Instead, Kaido was watched by Mariewa. In essence, the kingdom of Folka has always wanted to join Mariewa and become a franchise country. Because there is no gold in the sky, it wages endless wars and plunders other countries. The cause of the war is still to join. In this situation, Kaido was watched by Mariewa, and he was able to gain the bargaining chip of the kingdom of Folka. One night, Duo was sleeping just after leaving the battlefield, but he was tied up in a coma and became a bargaining chip and sent to Marine's warship, plus a seat at the next World Summit. Kaido at that time understood instantly. What the strongest warrior brings to himself is not honor, but a more valuable political tool. Can be traded at will or discarded. Kaido couldn't understand why the Folka kingdom had its own army and was invincible. Yet to be Mariewa lackey. However, Kaido destroyed Marine's prison ship by virtue of his formidable strength and robbed the canteen of the warship he encountered. Naturally, he was offered a reward by naval headquarters. Head 70 million berry. His identity is automatically converted to a pirate. And Kaido, after 2 years of wandering, heard that Hakanosu is the notorious pirate island. But the current facts prove that the so-called pirate island is nothing more than that. Pirates of Hakanosu. If you meet yourself, you shouldn't lie down, damn it. That's it. Spicy chicken. Goo la 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 la. While Kaido was holding a mace, looking up at the sky, expressing his disappointment, the characteristic grunt and thick laughter spread from behind. Then a man spoke up. Hello. Smelly brat. Are you going to be a pirate? Rox wants to see you. What do you want? 76-076. Smelly boss. Please don't break. The horn is about to break. Please order all. Please customize, please. Goo la 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 la. Kaido turned his head and saw an invisible coercion rushing towards him. I saw a huge body, holding a huge Naginata, standing behind me. The man in front of me can only look up to that day. Now Newgate is 5.7 meters tall, with slightly curly gold hair stretched down, a gold crescent moon hanging under the hook nose, and Gold's beard shining brightly in the sun, adding a touch of God of War features virtually. The dress collocation has the embryonic form of later generations, with a cloak hanging on the upper body, and the strong and broad chest is completely exposed. The 2 scars are shocking, spanning half of the body, just standing there is full of oppression. At this moment, there was a shock on Newgate's thick neck. Goo la 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 la. Monster. Kaido's first impression is that he is a monster. He instinctively felt a trace of fear. Yes, fear. In fact, Kaido cannot be blamed for being timid. Although he is a super soldier from the Worka Kingdom, he is right. But what level of combat power can a poor country's army have? The strongest combat power in the pirate world is in the pirate and marine camps. There are many examples of a pirate destroying a country. Kaido hasn't encountered Zeon's combat power for so many years, and he faced some small fish after going out to sea. I have never seen a real strong man. In front of Newgate, the current Kaido is a veritable rookie, a brat. Kaido even felt that the man in front of him could pinch him to death with one finger. If you feel like that, that must have been Mr. Guy committing suicide by jumping Sky Island. Hawkins and others were smashed out of a big pit in front of them. The smoke and dust dispersed. Mr. Guy's troll-like figure roared out, and the supernova collectively trembled. In the face of such a monster, the weak have no room to resist. Kaido didn't expect the slap in the face to come so quickly. I just complained that Hakanosu is a spicy chicken island. Smelly brat, don't you want to be a pirate? Let Lousy decide. Facing the dull Kaido, Newgate's voice came again, obviously impatient. The Kaido froze again. I thought, boss, you have already spoken. Can I still refuse? Didn't you see that I acquiesced? Around. The pirates who laughed at Kaido in the tavern did not dare to make any noise when they appeared in Newgate. The street suddenly became quiet. But vaguely, Kaido can still hear the conversations of those pirates. Hey, that's the 1.88 billion big pirate, Edward Newgate, the strongest lieutenant of the Rock's pirates. He must have been ordered by Rocks to recruit the brat? How lucky! This stinking brat has the opportunity to join Rock's pirate team. Edward Newgate, 18/Z800075. Hearing this message from Newgate, Kaido's throat surged, but he couldn't make a sound. The strongest lieutenant of the Rock's pirates? Wouldn't Rocks be stronger as the captain? But Kaido was also relieved to know that Newgate wasn't looking for trouble. After being stunned for several seconds, he dared to look at it with confidence. The most striking thing is that there are 2 long scars on Newgate's chest. The scars are hideous, and it is not an exaggeration to describe them as horror. Kaido could even relate. If these 2 knives were cut on him, they would definitely be cut at the waist. What kind of shocking battle did this man in front of him go through? Hiss. The world of the strong is really terrifying. Kaido took a deep breath. I have given up struggling, and I am thinking about agreeing to come down. Big brother. But before he finished speaking, Newgate's laughter sounded again. Goo la 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 la. And this time the laughter was obviously not directed at me. Kaido could only turn around and look in the direction Newgate was looking at. Then a scene that made his scalp tingle even more appeared. On the street, 5 people of different colors are walking. Shiki, Lin, Kazan, Shiki, Redfield. 2 women, 3 men. Kazan walked in the middle, 1 step ahead of everyone. Kaido has not recovered from the first experience of being a strong man. Seeing another one now. No, they are in groups of 3 or 4, more imposing powerhouses. The closer the distance, the greater the oppression. The 2 sides are still 30 meters away. Kaido's heart is out of control at this moment, and he can't help but jump out of his body. Especially Kazan in the middle, who seems to be in his early 20s, Kaido actually feels a sense of oppression that is so strong that he dominates the world and is suffocating. Around Kazan, there are still kings. Who is this man surrounded by? Rocks. Sir, please don't do this. The rookie can't stand it. Rocks, I'll go and join your pirate group myself, okay? You don't have to come pick me up in person. It's not worth your trouble. Walked leisurely with Kazan and others. The pirates on the street of Hakanosu immediately panicked. But as soon as they fled to the side of the street, they foamed at the mouth, rolled their eyes, and fell down one after another. On both sides of the whole street, the foot of the wall has already been packed with pirates. In the huge street, no one was spared. They are just passing by. What are you doing? Kazan is a scholar and likes to be pure. Shiki Conqueror's precision strikes, cleaning up the slobs on both sides along the way. See a bizarre scene. Kaido's heart was covered with goosebumps again. What level of power is this? Goo-la-la-la, Shiki, we meet again. The 2 scars you gave me are still aching now. Behind Kaido, Newgate's deep voice sounded. Along with Newgate grinning, shock fruits started slightly. Kaido finds out that the ground is actually shaking. It's from Newgate behind me. What level of power is this again? At this moment, Kaido suddenly felt that he was a frog at the bottom of the well, a toad that had never seen the open sky. What kind of chicken was he? The chicken was the strongest warrior. Anyone on this island could crush him to death. The worldview established during the Folka War collapsed at this moment. Turn out to be. I've seen before the 2 huge wounds on Newgate's chest. Was it cut down by one of the 5 people in front of you? How powerful is this group? Jiahahaha. Newgate, let's see if your knife skills have improved. Shiki took a quick look and saw Newgate communicating with a kid. Someone from the Rocks Pirates? Smelly bosses all have evil tastes, and the first thing to do is to scare the stinky brats in the enemy camp. Boom. The figure of Shiki Gold arrived in front of Kaido and Newgate in an instant, and in the blink of an eye, the shiny black sword Sakura Tenkaku pulled out from his waist in an instant and swung it towards Newgate above. When Newgate made the vibration, he was already ready to fight. He raised his big knife and chopped down Song Yunshi in an instant. Oncoming. Booming and booming. The whole of Hakanosu is shaking at this moment. Infinite airwaves exploded around Shiki and Newgate, shaking the streets on both sides into countless cracks, cracking the ground and shattering the walls. What the hell am I? Kaido squatted on the ground with his head in his arms. His scalp was numb, and his whole body was trembling uncontrollably. He couldn't even imagine what was going on above his head. This scene is very similar. Akainu throws a lava fist. Shanks Griffin blocks it, and Kobe crouches trembling with his head in his arms. Okay, Shiki, we have something to do. When Kazan's voice came, Shiki stopped immediately. Since the flying pirates chose to contact the Rocks pirates, if they can't reach an agreement, they will definitely not be able to avoid World War I. There is no shortage of opportunities to fight. Of course, Kazan also noticed Kaido, more or less afraid that he would be killed by the aftermath of the battle. Right now, Kaido is too young. After the Valley of the Gods, he obtained the form of the Yu fruit phantom beast species Azure Dragon, which allowed him to rise slowly. Scared the kids, what should I do if the Azure Dragon turns into a loach? It has to be said that the most famous and strongest creature in the later generations at this moment is mixed between the two strong men, and it is not a choice to leave or stay. He simply threw the mace on the ground, put his hands on his head, and said, "My life is rewarded by the boss mentality." And at this time, the two spread out as Shiki and Newgate's blows ended. Charlotte Lin seemed to see something interesting, and she wasn't afraid to see Newgate. She flashes directly in front of Kaido. One hand grabs the horns on Kaido's head and lifts it up like a puppy. Lin tilted his head, looking left and right curiously. Well, woo. The horns on this kid's head are actually real. That's great. Facing Lin's actions, Kaido was instantly furious. Smelly bitch. Let me go. When he was a child, Kaido, who had a difficult childhood, went to the mountains with his parents to dig coal mines. Every time he couldn't walk, his mother would go down the mountain with his horn. Originally a happy family, Kaido became an orphan at the age of 3. So, for Kaido, the act of lifting horns is an absolute taboo and an absolute offense. Now Lin is holding the horn. Even if it is suspended in the air, Duo is furious on the spot. Kaido forgot what happened just now, and he didn't care about his current situation. He only felt that he was greatly insulted. If he didn't curse back, his self-esteem would be condemned. What did you say? Bitch. Lin is 28 years old and still an old director. She has been treated coldly by Kazan many times. She is not confident about her appearance, and she lives with appearance anxiety every day, just to please Kazan. Only Lin can have the backbone to survive. Now, actually being scolded by the stinky brat. Immediately furious, Lin stared and used both hands. Grab Kaido's horns directly. Grab his head and rock it from side to side. The deterrence of the soul fruit also exploded in an instant with Kaido's smelly motherfucker. Prometheus came roaring, turning Lin's hair into flames. Thundercloud Zeus wrapped around his huge arms, crackling, with lightning in his mouth, ready to spray at any time. Napoleon in the pirate hat stared evilly. Zhang, open your mouth wide, as if you want to eat a child. Rat. All kinds of weirdness scared Kaido's soul out of his body. So scary. Like falling into an ice cellar, the chill went directly from Kaido's scalp to his heels. Hiss. Oh my god. Oh. You can touch the horns if you want. It's not impossible. Please be a little gentler, okay? Lin is the constitution of steel balloons that IT can be said to be the top constitution in the SEA. In terms of strength, it is really not comparable to the constitution of the Ghost Clan. When Lin was young, he could easily snap off a titan. The ribs of the clan, the strange power is extremely terrifying. Faced with Lin's strange power and soul deterrence, Kaido really has no room to struggle. I was wrong. Sorry. Boss, please don't break it. The horn is about to break. Kaido was sobbing all over his face, almost crying. I'm mad. Come to the ghost place of Hakanosu. Are normal people allowed here? The people on the island are all devils. Lin saw that Kaido was curled up with an obedient expression like a rabbit, and he didn't care about being called a stinky bitch anymore, and brought Kaido to Kazan. Like shaking soda, it was worth shaking so much that he almost vomited sweat. Vomit. Hold back. You can't vomit in front of a group of bosses. We'll be killed. Boss, this guy has real horns on his head. He's a weird guy. Very interesting. Should he be allowed to clean the deck? I have to say that sometimes fate is so wonderful. Charlotte Lin has been a titan among the common people since she was a child, a genuine alien and weirdo. She knew that this kind of heterogeneity would be rejected and looked at strangely, And of course, she would not be happy. Isn't this little devil in front of you? He really has horns. So for Kaido, a weirdo with a pair of horns, Lin is naturally sympathetic. He thought that the horned kid in front of him must also be a person who came out of tragedy. Even in the follow-up story of the original novel, Kaido's Yu fruit was still given by Lin. It is genuine, a great kindness. Here, Kazan saw Lin coming with Kaido. How to recruit Kaido to the ship. I didn't expect Lin to be so smart. Immediately, he couldn't help laughing and said, Lin, let him be your servant. Kaido, you bastards, what's going on? Are you recruiting as a follower again? You have to make trouble like this to be satisfied, right? How could someone else's fate be decided so easily? I, the strongest warrior, have to save face too. If you want me to be a follower, you can just speak up. Isn't it a waste of effort to do it? Well, did you hear what the boss said? Lin flicked Kaido, leaned over to look at Kaido eye to eye, and then pointed behind him. Kaido didn't dare to speak, just nodded with interest. I ask you, did you hear what Kazan boss said? Lin paused every word, staring into Kaido's eyes and said, horrible. Kaido was under a lot of pressure and was instantly frightened and trembled all over. After a few seconds' delay, Kaido bowed to Kazan, faced the ground, and said loudly, Boss Kazan, I heard it. Echoes echo through the streets. I am really convinced. Big guy, better than a boat. Now Kaido is afraid that his small actions will offend a group of bosses. Finished. He didn't know what to do, bowed for a long time, and found that nothing seemed to be wrong. So he immediately followed Lin obediently. Lin takes one step, Kaido takes one step. Lin stopped. Kaido didn't dare to take the second step. Slightly farther away. Seeing Lin's powerful performance, Newgate was a little confused for a moment. Because the Rocks Pirates contacted Achiku, Silver Axe, and Charlotte Lin 15 years ago, and also issued a recruitment call for them. As a result, Lin also chose to join Fakong on the same day. What happened that day is still vivid. Achiku and Silver Axe failed missions and went round and round in the sea. It was I who persuaded to return to Hakanosu. Unexpectedly, today's Lin has grown to this point. Have to say, Captain Rocks has a vicious eye for people. But Kaido the stinky brat? Think of Captain Rocks asking himself to recruit Kaido. As a result, by accident, he was tied behind Lin of the Flying Pirates. How to deal with this kind of thing? Newgate doesn't know either. Fortunately, Newgate, as Rocks' deputy, naturally knows that Rocks has sent a meeting request to the Flying Pirates. Destroy the Flying Pirates. This time, the big brother Kazan, who saw Shiki disappeared for a long time, came out of the mountain and came to Hakanosu. In all likelihood, he came to see Rocks. See you anyway. See you with Kaido yourself. See you with Kazan and Kaido. The properties are not the same. Gulalalala, Newgate was immediately in the middle of a self-guided strategy. At this time, Kazan came to Newgate. Newgate, there's something I've been meaning to ask you guys. 077, Conqueror's Raptors, Rocks, Kaido all incontinent, seeking subscription. About 40 minutes later, inside Hakanosu's tavern. Grunt. Newgate picked up the bucket-sized wine glass and drank it down in one gulp. The wine glass was in his hand like oral liquid. Goo-la-la-la-la, is it a fruit? I didn't expect you to be interested in this. I was watching the sea, and I snatched it from a pirate ship. The pirate leader who was robbed said that they picked the shock fruit on a certain island an hour ago, and didn't ask for details. Anyway, the location is also the Overwatch Sea in New World. Kazan asked about shock fruit and now has an answer. Shiki, as usual, recorded the information on the sidelines. She knew that all of Kazan's problems could be the next target. In fact, Kazan had gotten a piece of the black text before and had some erratic ideas. Shock fruit is huffing fruit, one of the 3 disaster fruits. So when I met Newgate, which owns shock fruit, Kazan asked about it. As for whether it is my conjecture, of course the only way to know is to see it for yourself. See, things are done. Kazan didn't delay anymore. It was time to meet Roxy Zebek from the Legendary. Well, horned boy, my sister will take you to become famous in the world. Kaido kept up with Lin. Here we come, big sister head. On the street, together with Newgate and his party of 6, the stinky little brat timidly followed behind him. The 7 headed toward Skull Rock. The stinky kid Kaido has no idea that what happens next will make him face incontinence even more. On the other side, under the Skull Rock, Rox sits on the captain's throne in the center of the plaza. Standing on the left and right sides are the main officials such as John, Achiku, and Silver. He has been waiting for a full hour. 20 years ago, by chance, Rox saw the bounty offer by the Kazan brothers. At that time, the Kazan brothers dropped a West Blue Marine Branch 437, which was enough to cause a sensation in the sea at that time. At that time, Rox felt that the two brothers were capable of great things. And it turns out that's true. After starting to build the power of the pirate group, Rox naturally thought of Kazan at the first time. Pirate with such courage and strategy should be taken under his command by Rox. See, the closer it is to the time to meet. Rox's heart-wrenching feeling is like getting sick, and it's getting worse. It's an hour. What were they doing? Walking in Hakanosu? When Rox was getting mad inside, right in front of the square, a few figures suddenly appeared. Coming. Seeing the tallest Newgate in the crowd, Rox frowned. How did Newgate mess with them? The Rox didn't pay attention to Newgate's contact with Kazan, and rightly so. And the intelligence officer of the Rox pirates on the other side. Deus took out a stack of wanted warrants. Reported, Boss Rox, they've got 6 of them. Respectively, Captain of the Flying Pirates, Governor, Kazan, 204,000 feet of gold. Vice Captain, Admiral, Shiki, the bounty is 1.92 billion berry. Deputy, Red Earl Redfield, the bounty is 1.4 billion berry. Minister of Intelligence, Shaki, pay 990 million berry. Charlotte Lin, 710 million berry bounty. Kaido, the bounty is 700 million. No, it's just 70 million berry. Hearing the report, Luke frowned. Not intimidated by the bounty of Kazan's group. Kazan's bounty reaches 2,040 million berry, but 1 billion berry is prostitution for him Rox. That's right, Kazan disappeared for 15 years doing almost nothing. In order to compete for the island, Rox fought several times with Marine, increasing the bounty each time, but because of Naval Headquarters' check and balance plan, Kazan's bounty also increased, and it always overwhelmed Rox. Or get an extra 10 million berry, or 20 million berry. This behavior is tantamount to humiliating the Rox by Naval Headquarters. Marine didn't give up the bounty check and balance plan until Kazan completely disappeared. So, calling Kazan whoring for nothing is an understatement, even undercutting Rox's own bounty. A person who does nothing can easily lower the average score. As for what made Rox frown, instead, Charlotte Lin, Kaido, the 2 newcomers. The 2 were the ones he, Rox, saw first. As a result, on the day when Achika's Silver Axe was in action, Lin was directly intercepted by the Flying Pirates. Now it has grown to more than 700 million bounties. It can be seen that Lin is growing rapidly. Sad to lose a member admiral. Rox certainly hurts. Now has Kaido been cut off again? What a mess. Hiss. Seeing this scene, Rox couldn't help but twitch his brows. Forget about Achiku's Silver Axe trash, even Newgate. And if Rox knows if Kazan, the Traverser, does not appear, Shiki, Shaki, Lin, Kaido, and even Stussy who did not come, these 5 people should also join the cadres of the Rox pirate group. But with the appearance of Kazan, the original Rox team has actually lost more than half of its combat power. Even the combat power configuration of the Flying Pirates is far better than that of the Rox pirates. Forget it. Anyway, as long as you conquer that stinky brat Kazan and annex these people to my Rox pirate group at once, won't all these high-end combat powers come to my Rox? Thinking of this, Rox felt a little better. Rox can see it. On the whole, his own pirate group, except for him and Newgate, the others are not particularly outstanding. Even John, Achiku, and Silver Axe are still a little bit less interesting. And what about the air pirates? It looks more like an iron wall. Forget about the Kazan brothers, there is also a deputy, and the bounty of 1.4 billion berry is actually reached. Redfield. How can a guy who rarely shows up have this bounty? Redfield has always been low-key, and the Rox didn't even get much information. Buzzhut ___. Then let me take a look your way. Rox screamed inwardly. Boom. A powerful jet of Black Conqueror's hockey immediately spread from the Rox. The faces of Achiku, John, Silver Axe and others around him instantly showed shock. Such mighty conquerors? Boss Rocks is playing for real this time. On the other side, the periphery of the square, Shiki naturally noticed that the Rocks pirates were just ahead. And around this square, there are 50,000 to 60,000 division soldiers. The entire pirate group of Rocks has 70,000 to 80,000 people. Excluding those outside, the rest are concentrated in Skull Rock. At this moment, people are everywhere on the ground of the square, in the surrounding buildings, on the trees, on the roofs, and even in the manhole covers. 20 or 30 heads can protrude from a window of a building. Not only did Shiki think of the broken ship of the Ochako pirates, but a deck was crowded with more than 700 people. Now it seems that the Rocks pirates are just as messy. But what? Shiki introduced Kazan without hesitation. Captain of the Rocks pirates, Rocks, the bounty is 2.94 billion berry. The second captain, John, has a bounty of 860 million berry. The third captain, Ochako, has a bounty of Z45 million berry. The fourth captain, Silver Axe, has a bounty of 690 million berry. Besides, the one walking beside us, the first captain, Edward Newgate, has a bounty of 1.88 billion berry. Shiki reported, and Kazan nodded in response. But I don't really care much about the bounty of the Rocks pirates, just have a general understanding. After all, for Kazan, the entire Rocks pirate group is only capable of rocks. Meet and go. Everyone likes to say hello with conquerors, right? Feel the Rocks conqueror's hockey hit. Kazan's eyes sharpened instantly. Boom. Sizzling. A stream of dark red conquerors turned into a ripple frenzy and bombarded forward in an instant. With the release of Conqueror's hockey, some pirates who were watching around fell down one by one. Groups and groups fell from the roof. But no one pays attention to this because Conqueror's collision is much stronger than falling and killing a person. What is this power like Shura? Boss Kazan, what is he doing? Kaido hid behind Lin, trembling again. Today's experience has refreshed Kaido's 3 views. The first is Newgate's sense of oppression as a strong man, followed by the collision of Shiki and Newgate's top cold weapons, then the impact of Lin's soul fruit, and now the impact of Kazan's collision with Rock's Conqueror's hockey. Everything in it. They're all at the cutting edge of the current pirate world. For a stinky brat, the blow was too great. And it doesn't end there. As the two conquerors collided more intensely, on the entire Hakanosu Island, 2 collision auras of pitch black and dark red were formed, and the entire Haninos Island seemed to be dyed in 2 colors. Cheers, cheers. Pada. At the beach tavern, the pirates who were drinking all the time fell down in an instant. Can you do it, little dog? Just stepped in. Did it go soft? Under the coconut tree, Sugar Happy House. The pirates who were looking for happiness lay down on the sand and did not move, and even foam sprayed the sand chicken all over the face. The most affected area is the area near the square. Kazan comes to Hakanosu, and the island is talking about the news. The storm gathers. Countless people have smelled the breath of the approaching wind and rain. The pirates who were still discussing the meeting between Captain Rocks and Kazan of the Flying Pirates were planning to join in the fun and watch from a distance. As a result, all of them felt dizzy and could not help but feel dizzy in just a moment. Hundreds of people. Thousands of people. Tens of thousands of people. At the beginning of the Conqueror's collision, he piled up and fell to the ground. 0. All of a sudden, Kazan and Rocks entered the Conqueror's hockey wrestling and were neck and neck. Taking a deep breath, Rocks' hands trembled a little. Since he became the dominator of the New World family, some people have called him the Overlord of the Sea. In terms of strength, he has been alone for too long. No, I actually met a Conqueror's hockey owner who couldn't lose to me. Suddenly, Rock's scarlet pupils flashed with fighting spirit. Sensing the changes in Rocks, Ochako John and other cadres next to him couldn't help being attracted. Kazan, that guy. Even Rocks dare to be tough. Do you think you didn't die fast enough? As a member of the Rocks pirate map, they know the horror of Rocks better than anyone else. IT is a group that could be surrounded by Marine Admiral, Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, and others. The strongest man who travels freely. Otherwise, a Rocks, what a foothold Hakanosu. Been confronting Marine for more than 10 years. Hiss. Everyone gasped involuntarily. The other side. Lin blinked. She always wanted Kazan's acknowledgement. Whether it is strength or body. Lin said, "Boss Governor, do you need us to take action? Come on." Kazan laughed. It's not that Kazan Conquerors is underpowered, and it's not that Rock's Haki is too ferocious. But because the Conquerors of the two have collided for a minute, neither side can take the other. If the collision continues, it will normally enter the closing stage. Stop after saying hello. How boring. It's hard to gather all the Conquerors. Even Kaido, the stinky brat, will be the owner of Conquerors in the future with such a powerful configuration if you don't show off in front of the Rocks pirates. Will the Rocks think that I, Kazan, led the team and came to join him? Can't afford it. Present. Shiki, Redfield, Shaki, and Lin all had excited faces. Chi stared. Gold, dark red, deep purple, dark red. 4 strands of Conqueror, centered around Conquerors. Join this battle of Conquerors in an instant. Next second. Conquerors curls with Conquerors raptors. It burst out in the direction of Rocks in an instant. Kazan said freely, "Don't be too anxious. I'm afraid that Rocks guy can't bear it. Face the Conquerors like a dragon." Rocks is in a hurry now. Yes, even if he is the king of the ocean, Bollock thinks he is the second in the world. But seeing this scene now, I'm also anxious. What the hell? What kind of monsters are these 5 people? Why are they all the qualifications of a king who is unique in a million? What kind of ghosts are around me? Jean? Achiku? Silver Axe? Conqueror's Haki? They dream. Everyone is almost 40 people, and there is no trace of awakening Conquerors. The only offhand Newgate owns the Conquerors. But at this moment, they are standing in Kazan's camp by mistake. 0.4. There is really no helper around. What a mess. See 5 Conquerors coming. Even Rocks, who has never met an opponent, can't help feeling numb. And there is one person who is far more numb than Luke's. Kaido. Now Kaido's mood can no longer be described as trembling. It's the despair of the end of the world, the despair of imminent death. Kaido is right behind Kazan at all. There are various Conquerors in front of you. It is displayed in front of my eyes one after another. All of them are displayed in front of my eyes. And Conquerors is a psychophysical double power. Kaido has such a small body, he can't stand it. It's terrible. Monsters. These gangsters are monsters. I'm just a stinking brat. Why should I experience this? Kaido couldn't cry even if he wanted to, and was so frightened that he was about to lose control. Follow these big guys and go to clean the deck on their ship. You really think highly of me, Kaido. Well, my God, please protect me. I must live well. Kaido is about to have a nervous breakdown. However, someone still saves the mentally endangered Kaido. This person is Rocks. When the 5 Conquerors attacked together, there was no way the opponent was outnumbered, and Haki was a very single way of wrestling. Rocks knew that he was no match for the 5-in-1. So make a decision now. The peerless swordsman Golem's sword was unsheathed in an instant, and the dark blade appeared. In the next moment, Luke's 3-color thunder burst out. Under the pressure of the powerful Conqueror's Haki, he flashed directly in front of Kazan and others. Buzz, haha. You are really good. You are qualified to be my real opponent. Kazan. 78078, Conquerors entangling, cracking the sky, gambling, Rock's family property. Please subscribe. Thanks for data support. 078, Conquerors entanglement, bet, Rock's wealth, seeking subscription. Thanks for data support. And heads up, Rocks has never been afraid of anyone, and has never met an opponent. Kazan. Rocks yelled. Can't bear it. Kazan also raised his head, and a red light burst out of his pupils. The surrounding Conqueror's Haki popped up instantly. When Kazan stepped out, the ground was crushed and cracked. Boom. The first-generation ghost came out of its sheath, and Black's blade was covered with a layer of white mist. In the white mist, there was still a snake-like samurai-colored Haki fluid flowing. On the blade, thunder flashes, and the thunder snake dances wildly. The 2 supreme sharp knives slashed at the same time, and the Conqueror's Haki exploded in this instant. A scene that shocked everyone appeared. The knives of the 2 didn't touch each other, and there was a huge Conqueror's light ball between them. The light clusters circulated with each other, and thunder burst out, flickering crazily, within sight, and the sun was white. Far away. Achiku, John, Silver Axe, and others were stunned. What's going on? The two knives didn't touch together. How is this possible? No way. What a strong Conqueror's collision. The three of them had no idea at all. Facing the air pirates, the Rock's boss not only used Conquerors to say hello. In the end, he didn't even win against the 5 people on the opposite side. What was even more unexpected was that Luke's would go out of the country directly. Although the 3 of Achiku are far apart. But that kind of impact has already shocked him beyond recognition. Why are the flying pirates all overlords? Not only that, even Newgate with Conqueror's hockey. He couldn't help but twitch his beard slightly. At this moment, Newgate was still standing in Kazan's camp. He had brought a few people to meet Rox, and just lamented that all the people around him were Conqueror's hockey owners, and now he followed Rox's attack. The Conquerors tangled, heaven fell. Even Newgate could feel the strong aura erupting from the entanglement battle. As expected of Shiki's elder brother, actually. Kazan is such a monster. I can't defeat it at all. Shiki 20, Defield also stood there blankly. Conqueror's twine? Shiki will too. Redfield will too. But when the two of them usually pass each other, the distance between collisions is at most 40 centimeters. And Kazan and the Rock's Conqueror's twine collide. The distance between collisions is almost 200 centimeters for everyone. Shiki and Redfield couldn't help but look at each other. Brother, what kind of monster are you? Every time I feel a little closer to the big brother, but Kazan hits the brothers. Jingle bell. Kazan rocks, and the weapons of the two collided together at this moment, and there was an ear-piercing sound. Next second, all the fainting pirates around were blown away by the mighty hockey. It hit the surrounding walls, leaving red human-shaped marks one by one. The powerful air wave directly breaks through the sky like a giant dragon. The dense clouds in Hakanosa's sky were directly split in half by the airwaves, and the huge cracks continued to roll towards the higher sky. At this moment, the sky was completely stretched open. The sky is cracked. The cracks get bigger and bigger. Kaido's forehead was covered with sweat, and his eyes were confused. He was lying on the ground, looking at the sky helplessly, his eyes gradually blurred. Kazan boss, the sky seems torn open. At the moment Kazan and Rock's Conqueror's entanglement collided, Kaido fell to the ground. If it wasn't for Charlotte's special Linlin to take care of the stinky kid, and stepped on Kaido's chest with one foot, causing Kaido's chest to feel a crushing pain, perhaps Kaido alone would have been unconscious. It is more likely that, like other pirates, he was directly blown away by hockey, and even if he is not dead, he will be seriously injured. This was originally the center of the battlefield, where the aftermath of the battle was the greatest. Kaido muttered repeatedly, "Boss, that look, the sky's cracked. Stinky boss, that were you always scaring me for?" Just like that, Kaido completely lost consciousness, and the entire Hakanosu Island. At this moment, there are still some pirates with a bounty of hundreds of millions who have not fainted, and those pirates who have fainted, and their strength is a bit stronger, are repeatedly awakened by Conqueror's hockey. At this moment, you can look up and see the spectacle of cracking the sky. Everyone was stunned in place, unable to move forward. What the hell are the gods fighting? Rox, are you done greeting? Kazan, you really surprised me. Ha! Kazan and Rox closed their hands at the same time, standing on opposite sides. But the two people who stopped had completely different ideas. First of all, the two have already fought for the first time, and they both know that the other party is a strong one. He is someone who cannot be easily dealt with even if he tries his best. In this situation, two thoughts sprouted in their respective brains. Kazan felt. Rox wanted to trouble the flying pirates, so he came to meet and fight, and let Rox understand that he couldn't eat the flying pirates. Therefore, the purpose of Kazan's deterrence has been achieved, and it is meaningless to stay in Hakanosu. Rox is a pirate. As long as the two have no irreconcilable conflicts, they are considered to be in the same camp. Naturally, Kazan has no intention of replacing Luke's, the overlord of the ocean. Isn't it great to be a master of the seas? The Valley of the Gods is not a complete failure. However, if the Valley of the Gods lacks Rox, it will lose a lot of fun. Or Kazan would love to see Rox as cannon fodder. Kazan's goal is to create an immortal force and become the king of the world. So, Kazan, whose purpose of awe had been achieved, was not here anymore. Have that time. Why not bring the flying pirates to the Marin XL branch directly? And the other side. Rocks feel. Through fighting, he was sure that Zan was the most peerless genius he had ever seen. Not only is he courageous and powerful, but he is even completely broken with the marine forces because he killed the celestial dragons and destroyed Marineford. Such a person is a man who stands on the side of a pirate and starts a grand hegemony. This kind of peerless talent must be drawn to one's own camp, no matter what method is used. The combat power of the flying pirates is too balanced and powerful. Even rocks can't stop his heartbeat. Therefore, everyone in the air pirates cannot leave Hakanosu. And the most important thing to do is to tie the Captain Kazan to his own ship, and the others are just doing it casually. Kazan, this man must be done today. Newgate, since the flying pirates have come to Hakanosu, I, the Rocks pirates, will do my best to take them to the Skull Rock Hall. The banquet is about to begin. Rocks put away the golem's sword and said to Newgate. Newgate looked at Kazan and Shiki immediately when he heard that a banquet was going to be held. He did chat with Shiki. In addition to not being in the same pirate group, they are also considered half-friends. This is the temperament of the two Kazan-Shiki brothers. Captain, you really don't understand. None of them are the type to submit to others. Although Newgate himself is not, he will not surrender to others, even rocks, but his childhood experience made him inclined to sensibility, even willfulness, and this sensibility has the upper hand over rationality. Therefore, it doesn't matter if you stay in Rocks Pirates Newgate, and you don't want to change. Really? Hearing that Rocks wanted to have a banquet, Kazan's voice came immediately. So far today, our flying pirates still have things to do. The purpose of coming to Hakanosu is just to say hello to you. Now it's over. There is no need to stay in Hakanosu any longer. And when Rocks heard it, is this kid rejecting me, Rocks? You brats, if we really want to fight, you guys won't be opponents together. But Rocks held back his temper. At this time, dozens of pirates appeared around. These are the elite of the Rocks pirates, withstanding the onslaught of Conqueror's winding. Anyway, the brain is in a daze and doesn't know what to do. Seeing that the old god tier of Rocks was not in the right mood, he came out as before, taking advantage of the boss's limelight, and came out to pretend to be pretending. TSK, Rocks, who are you underestimating? Seeing dozens of people crowding up, Shiki said dissatisfiedly. The ones standing in front of you are the flying pirate. If you want to fight, we can of course accompany me at any time. Believe it or not, with the support of his older brother Kazan, Shiki has no fear at all. Moreover, all the configurations on my side can fly, and the other party can't compare at all. It perfectly fits the name of the flying pirates. Hee. Redfield let out a sneer, although he didn't speak. But there was no fear at all in those strange night bat-like eyes. The vampire black's long nails stretched out, gently scratching his slashed face. He even looked a little like he was waiting to make a move. Well, Napoleon, Zeus, Prometheus. Linlin looked excited, but still had a fighting spirit. As for Shaki, she just looked around, and a flash of lightning jumped on the ground. Draw the ground as a prison, and force the surrounding pirates to take a step back. Although the Rocks pirates have a large number of people, but compared with the pirates in the sky, in terms of high-end combat power, Wuwa 8 Gate's abilities are really a little bit worse. Only Rocks and Newgate are present. IT belongs to the kind of combat power that is not 100% confident to win. The remaining? Maybe these pirates are a bit strong, but the flying pirates don't look down on them at all. Even Shaki, an intelligence expert, didn't bother to inquire about these things. It is clear. The flying pirates led by Kazan are more imposing. Edward Newgate quickly smoothed things over. Don't get me wrong, everyone is a pirate. There will always be a time to cooperate. I reject. Kazan and Rocks actually spoke at the same time. Rocks wants to subdue the flying pirates. Kazan isn't profitable early. Cooperate. Sorry, there is no such condition at the moment. Ha. Rocks smiled. He immediately said, Kazan, you are very strong. How about we have a one-on-one game? Gambling. Do you have the starting chip? In response to the saying of Dahai Haishong, pirates are a group of animals without profit. Hearing that the game might be beneficial, Kazan also became a little interested. Also at this time, as Kazan moved forward, maybe there is a treasure within 500 meters of him. The treasure hunting radar in his head went off. Diddy. Red dots, 2, 3 red dots. Kazan couldn't help frowning. Shensi observed the radar prompts and estimated the distance. These red dots representing treasure should all be in the Skull Rock. What could be the treasure in Skull Rock? However, the flying pirates have pure gold, floating islands, and a large reserve of strategic materials. Apart from the flying pirates, Rocks is considered to be the most well-established pirate group in the sea today, and it is not uncommon to have some treasures. Even after thinking about it for a while, Kazan was a little disdainful. But in the dark, maybe there is a little feeling. When something happens, there is a desire to make people do something. Anyway, when Kazan heard the news that there was a treasure in the Skull Rock, he was really excited. Well, the stakes. Isn't it coming? After playing, go to the Skull Rock to find treasure? Bet. Rocks pondered for a moment. He is the kind of big pirate who only cares about himself, and he doesn't care much about everything else except the target he cares about. Even in order to achieve the goal, Rocks will show the most courage and do crazy things. But now for a while, he really couldn't think of anything that could impress Kazan's bet. I only say mine. If I win, the air pirates will join my Rocks pirates, Rocks said. Hiss. The members of the Rocks pirates couldn't help grinning. Isn't it Kazan, the captain of the nasty air pirates? Use the power you have created to make a bet. Bet all of it. What do the rest of the air pirates think? However, Kazan is a godlike existence to the flying pirates, and no matter what decision is made, as long as it is an order from Kazan 633, all members will support it. Moreover, all of Kazan's current decisions are not even a single mistake. Everything the flying pirates do is like the rotation of mechanical gears, and everything fits perfectly. Therefore, even if Kazan takes the pirates as a bet, he can get an answer supported by everyone without asking. Kazan couldn't help but smile too. How could he not understand the mind of the recruiting maniac Rocks? Since raising such a bet to disgust oneself, it is a bit unreasonable, to be rude. Rocks, you want to annex my flying pirates. Your ambition is a bit inflated. However, I took the bet. If I win, I only want Edward Newgate to join my flying pirates. Hiss. The surrounding Rocks pirates immediately looked ugly. It doesn't matter what the odds are. What does this bet mean to us? Why are you ignoring us? You only want Newgate alone, so what are we? In your eyes, aren't we trash? Sorry, yes. Rock's face became even uglier. He was keenly aware that he was truly disgusted by Kazan. Although Rocks thought that he could not lose, this was a divisive action on the spot. Edward Newgate, for one. Others don't think too much. Their thoughts are all focused on Newgate. With Newgate as a bet, what do you think of Newgate alone? The moment Kazan said his name, it caused an explosion. Newgate. What the hell, Rocks? If you agree, you are ready to eat my big knife. I agree. Rocks readily agreed. Having dominated the sea for so many years, with his hands in his pockets, Luke's really doesn't know what a pair of tails is. Newgate held Song Yunxia's hand even harder. What the hell? It's not over yet. Kazan's voice continued. If it's flat, our flying pirates like to explore the secrets. We need an hour to completely occupy the Skull Rock, and all the things in it what we like to take. Hiss. Kazan once again broke out shocking remarks. The people present were completely dumbfounded. You completely own Skull Rock. What about our privacy? This operation is no different from opening someone else's browser. You have to bet even if you are tied. Isn't your idea too naive? Good guy, it's not that cheap. In Kazan's view, the sea needs a force like the Rocks pirates. The game of the Three Kingdoms is more interesting, but if one family dominates, it will only be attacked by the group. Since there are Rocks cannon fodder standing in front of us, how can we refuse such kindness? Newgate, although it is a talent, but now staying in the Rocks pirates has a greater effect. Otherwise, Rocks would really be a bare-bones command. Then what about the Valley of the Gods? Kazan smiled and said, if you agree, my people will block the Skull Rock now, so that there will be nothing interesting inside. Otherwise, we will turn around and leave immediately. Rocks was really angry in his heart. He gritted his teeth and said, deal. 79-079, evaluated as the world's #1 swordsman. The Fruit of Rocks subscription required. Don't make lousy wait, brat. After speaking, Rocks exploded in momentum and performed the same technique as moonwalk. At an extremely fast speed, he walked through the air. The space seemed to be crushed under his feet. Every step he took would create a ripple in the air. Pada. Shiki, tell Molly and the others to come over and guard our Skull Rock. Don't let the thief in. Leave a word. Kazan snapped his fingers, and a small green dragon circled out from his palm. The green dragon is getting bigger and bigger. winding tens of meters. The wind dragon seemed to have materialized, hovering over Hakanosu's square, roaring to warn everyone around. Kazan jumped on the head of the green dragon, and the green dragon quickly chased in the direction of rocks. God, green dragon! Does this kind of creature really exist in the world? Kazan has developed an incredible skill set. Let all the pirates around be dumbfounded and unable to speak. That direction, is Hakanosu's dual island? Watching the two go away, John Tion couldn't help feeling overwhelmed. Duel Island is an island near Hakanosu. It belongs to Z Island. Pirates often duel on the island. Over the years, the island is full of the bones of the losers. It is the place with the most evil spirit in the whole Hakanosu. At Hakanosu, duelists can also be watched from afar. However, only large fluctuations can be seen, and details cannot be seen. Hear Ochika say this. Shiki immediately contacted Moli, and soon the space door opened in the square. Moli, Emoku, and others appeared in the square. Emoku even directly used the island fruit and drilled directly into the ground of Hakanosu. The Titans were originally huge, but now they have merged with the island, which is actually even more terrifying. That over there, what's your name? Achiku, take care of your people. If anyone dares to step into the Skull Rock, I will beat you again when I come back. Asshole, Achiku gritted his teeth, remembering the scene when he was beaten by Shiki more than 10 years ago. Shaki's eyes looked over, and Tianji was shocked. No more talking. Soon, Shiki floated up. Redfield turned into a dark bloodbat. Charlotte Linlin summoned Thundercloud Zeus. Shaki turned into a thunderbolt and headed towards Duel Island at high speed. At the same time, in order to prevent the stinky kid Kaido from waking up and running around, Linlin also specially found a rope, tied Kaido's hands, and hung him under Thundercloud Zeus. Shake it up and go to Dodo Island. Seeing this, Newgate followed up with the same move as Moonwalk. Soon, these people were lingering in midair far from Duel Island. As Kazan's wings, Shiki and Redfield have worked together very tacitly. When they reached the skies above Duel Island, Shiki let the blood bat float, and Redfield folded the bat wings and stood on it. Flying in vampire form also requires physical strength. There is a fulcrum in the air, which is of course more comfortable. And just after the pause in Shiki et al., Edward Newgate's figure also appeared beside everyone, but Newgate didn't have the ability to stay in the air. As soon as you get there, grab Shiki's leg in a clever way. The sinking force came. Shiki bowed his head and cursed angrily. Newgate, why don't you check your score? Do you want me to trample you to death? Shiki, just do me a favor, gurglalala. Shiki floated up Song Yunche with a face full of reluctance. Newgate sits on the big knife, Tin-Face Chow. After arriving at Duel Island, Kazan and Rox both landed. Kazan made a move, and the strong wind directly blew the pirate bones on the ground into the sea. Fine. A clean battlefield is very important. Logi is Storm. It's a weird ability. Rox crossed his arms and said with a playful smile, Your brother Shiki can only barely fight me a few tricks. I don't know if your brother, who has disappeared for a long time, has this strength. It's good to feel it, and you'll know if you don't. Kazan said indifferently. Tough-mouthed kid. As soon as the words finished, there was a swipe sound. Rox had already appeared in front of Kazan. The black knife was out of its sheath and slashed at Kazan suddenly with a knife that tore through the air. Kazan's figure was agility, and he went directly to the side of Rox, and the first-generation ghost came out of its sheath. Quickly slashed across. Jingle! There was a loud and crisp sound. Rox sensed Kazan's intentions and immediately turned the famous sword sideways, and the sword collided with first-generation Onitsu. The strength of the two is very fierce. There was a collision, the two knives buzzed, and the two were bounced away more than 10 meters away at the same time. Both are great swordsmen. So when the battle started, everyone wanted to try the opponent's weight with their swords. Rox's leisurely voice came, The sword skill is not bad, and the sword has been tempered into a black sword. Your chance must be good. A stinky brat like you at this age can achieve this achievement, and he is the only one in the sea, you guy. The gentleman wants to be a subordinate more and more. Opportunity. Kazan couldn't help laughing. This is ability. Give it up, Rox. Kazan smiled slightly. Accepting me as a subordinate is much more difficult than conquering the entire sea. Hey, don't underestimate me, Rox said while dissatisfied, and raised his knife to chop again. Jingle. In a short time, the two played against each other for several rounds. They don't dodge or dodge, and talk directly with a cold weapon in their hands. In an instant, the two wolves of the incendiary bomb collided together. Lightning storm. At the moment when the two collided, Kazan, like a ghost, flashed past Rock's. The wrist was twisted, and the tip of first-generation Geesh knife was right on Rock's abdomen, leaving a wound of tens of centimeters. But before the blood flowed out, Rox covered it with one hand and wiped it away. By the time Rox let go, the entire wound had recovered. Ha 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 ha. Rox smiled, put his saber on the ground, looked at Kazan and said, "In terms of swordsmanship, you can be called the world's #1 swordsman." The #1 swordsman in the world? I don't think there's anything wrong with your evaluation. The corners of Kazan's mouth curled up. In One Piece world, swordsmanship is an expression of extremely strong combat power. But swordsmanship is not equal to all combat power. The way of fighting is wuhua a gate, and swordsmanship is just one of them. Being #1 in swordsmanship does not mean being #1 in combat power. During the collision of swordsmanship between the two, Rox knew that his swordsmanship was slightly inferior to Kazan's. However, the battle in this world is not just swordsmanship. Hockey, physical skills, and devil fruit are all equally important. Rock's arms bulged suddenly, twisting his neck and wrists. Then there was only a loud bang, and a big pit was stepped on the ground by Rox. The rocks shattered. His whole body was like a burning cannonball. A punch aimed at Kazan's jaw. Kazan's expression froze. While Rox is a strong swordsman, his physical skills have also been cultivated to the peak level. He made a decision in an instant and shot out the first-generation ghost, blocking the path of Rox. Kazan immediately went up to him and slashed down at Rox with his hand knife. The moment the two were about to come into contact, the wind elementalized their entire bodies immediately. But remember, the claw came just short of hitting Rox in the neck. However, claws are not the purpose. Kazan's real purpose is to deliver Kazan. Today's Kazan has obtained a physical entry. In terms of the fineness of physical skills, it is comparable to swordsmanship. He is an all-round warrior with full combat skills. In the wind pill, there is a small storm, which is only the size of a ping-pong ball after compression, but once it loses the restraint of the wind fruit ability user, the storm energy inside will explode instantly. Jump. Two huge explosions sounded simultaneously. The energy of the explosion spurts out suddenly in two directions. With one person on one side, the shock waves span the entire island. The sea surface on both sides outside the island was affected by the explosion, and at the same time, huge waves were rolled up, and the waves danced wildly. In the sky, seeing the two people on the island approaching instantly, they both caused violent explosions. Sitting on a handle of Songyun's thin knife, Newgate twisted his huge body and said, "Captain Rock's devil fruit has the ability to detonate everything, but depending on the situation, so does your brother Kazan." Two amazing characters. Dual Island. Rox frowned slightly. His explosive punch had blasted into Kazan's elementalized body. A violent explosion exploded on Rock's fist, and Kazan was able to seize this moment and make tactical adjustments. One move after another, like a talent engraved in the genes. It was natural, and he directly used elementalization to take the next blow and chose the weakest part of Rock's neck. When Kazamaru is about to touch Rock's neck, it will be detonated instantly. Generally, under this blow, half of the body of a strong person will be blown to pieces. Boom. Kazan was like a rippling wind, floating tens of meters away before stabilizing his figure. During this process, he has already included first-generation Guache into the space. Now that the duel of pure swordsmanship has been decided, Rox is finally playing physical arts. But even if it is elemental, the internal organs are a little bit painful. Also took some damage. Rox on the other side also staggered and retreated several tens of meters sideways. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, his neck tilted, and a blood hole suddenly appeared on the side, as if a wild animal had bitten a piece of meat. It was bloody. This is still the result of the hockey defense. After all, it was half a beat slow. It seems that the injury is not light. I really underestimated you. The method is really good. In fact, whether it is Rox or Kazan, they are bounty criminals who only have bounties but have no recorded strength. Few people in the sea know the strength of their cards. For example, in the eyes of the world, Rox is just a strong player, and hockey is very strong. And Kazan, at most, is a fluttering ability user like Shiki, a swordsman of heaven. Other than that, there is no other information. What taijutsu, haki, devil fruit? Only a few people know about it. This one. Kazan spread his palms, and immediately 3 spinning wind pills appeared, just like walnuts in the hands of an antique lover, spinning back and forth between his fingers. If only Kazan's body could see through. You can see in his arm, on the bone of his hand, there is actually a green wind dragon entrenched. Feng Wan is the creation of the wind dragon's breath. This trick is called Hurricane Destroyer. If you guessed right, your blasting ability is Devil Fruit ability. Rock spat out a mouthful of blood on the ground. Huh? Have fun. It's been a long time since I fought this hard. You're right. I'm Paramecia, a user with the ability to explode fruit. But there's more to ability than that. Really? Paramecia exploding fruit. Explosive fruit is the ability of the later Shichibukai lock subordinate, Mr. 5, which can make everything in the body explode with gunpowder. It can also be immune to all gunpowder explosions. As a result, it was used by Mr. 5 to play with boogers. Unexpectedly, in this era, it will be the ability of rocks. Kazan has always thought that the explosive fruit is a devil fruit that is very suitable for physical masters. Rocks also proved that this is the case. If he hadn't prepared early, the explosive punch would have been blasted into the body. Live or die. Rocks wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. The scar on his neck had healed. Then he hit Kazan at a very fast speed. Although there were only 2 fists, dozens of afterimages were shot out, as if there were dozens of hands attacking at the same time. Kazan was not to be outdone, and the wind pills that shattered the hurricane gathered on his fists. Attack each other, such a cycle. The 2 exerted force at the same time and hit each other at the same time. Both flew upside down. Rocks got up again and charged at Kazan again. Kazan stabilized his stumbled figure and raised one hand. Dragon Ball Storm. The voice fell. Around the rocks, gusts of green wind suddenly hung up. In a blink of an eye, 7 green dragons with a diameter of more than 1 meter were suddenly created in the wind. They swam around rapidly and surrounded rocks tightly, like a giant python. Working together to strangle the prey, it gradually shrinks. Pause time. Rocks is like a triangular rice dumpling wrapped in green bamboo leaves. Damn it, the wind is shadowless and invisible, and it is impossible to guard against. Dragon Ball Storm is a new move developed by Kazan. This move is not just a green dragon strangling the opponent. Each green dragon can clearly see 7 greener ones in its body. Wind pill. And every wind pill is a hurricane of destruction. Rocks looked at the shining 7-star Dragon Ball among the green dragons and finally exploded. The mighty Conqueror's haki drives to ultimate in an instant. Ah! With a loud shout, Rocks immediately turned into a human-shaped bomb. As a person with the ability to explode the fruit of Paramecia, he can completely detonate himself and achieve self-explosion, after a burst of fire, sweeping and destroying everything around. The 7 green dragons that trapped Rocks were also shattered at this moment. But the 49 Dragon Balls in the green dragon's body emit green light from the nether spring in an instant. Boom, boom, boom. Jump, jump, jump. The moment Rocks broke free from the Dragon Ball storm, 4 or 5 chain explosions sounded one after another. Far Chin Zhao Place. High altitude. Seeing the series of green explosions, the pupils of Shiki and others reflected a terrifying green, as if everyone was born with green pupils, which could not go away for a long time. Newgate Gold's beard seemed to be dyed green, and his miniature pupils exclaimed, "What a powerful fruit development ability. Shiki, your brother is a peerless monster, this kind of person. Very scary. Nonsense. Don't even look at who he is." Shiki, dissatisfied, and a few people below, perhaps woken up by the sound of an explosion. Kaido found that his hands were being violently tied with ropes, obviously. A look of disappointment hung on his face. Is that the big sister head is going to sell me to Mariowa? Otherwise, why would you tie me up? Just wanted to break free and run away. Kaido couldn't help but looked up and saw a white cloud Zeus crackling and flashing thunder and lightning, a rope stretched down and tied to his hands. But when he looked down, it was kilometers above the sky. The bottom of your feet is the sea. Kaido is numb. Fortunately, I didn't break the rope on my own initiative. So high, falling down is no different from committing suicide. You can see the serial explosions happening on the island right now, and you feel scared again. What strength? Who is fighting? Half the island will be destroyed by the explosion. Well, Kaido, the boss of Kazan, is fighting with rocks on the island. You boy, be honest. Otherwise, I will throw you into the sea and feed the fish. Charlotte Lin raised the rope in her hand and said. Kaido immediately shivered. Understood, big sister, don't let go. Is Kazan the boss? So strong. Snapped. Kazan floated in midair, flicking his hands. The flames of war on the battlefield were immediately swept away by the storm, and the dual island was completely devastated. The circular potholes after blasting were left behind, like craters hit by a series of impacts. On the ground of Dual Island, Rox is no longer there. But Voice Rock's voice came from underground. You really make me happy. Kazan, 80-080, double peak combat power, annihilation with one punch, subscription required. Kazan looks. Most of the entire island has been destroyed. The wind blows like a knife, and the land has been cut out of big holes. At the lowest part of the huge cavity, there is only a mass of black quicksand squirming. Sound of rocks. It came from the darkness. The most vicious pirate, with the most vicious ability? Seeing this, Kazan also understood. Rox is not only a Paramecia explosive fruit ability user, but also a Logia dark fruit ability user. Is also a double fruit ability user. No wonder the scars on his body before had disappeared without a trace. It turned out that they were all absorbed by the darkness. Although dark fruit is Logia devil fruit, the ability user cannot elementalize it. It can only take all the damage in a different way instead of elementalizing it to avoid it. But in Kazan's view, it's a very buggy ability. Dark 1 absorbs all damage at the cost of double the pain. Deadly damage and double the pain? Which is stronger and weaker between the two? In fact, Kazan also has his own ideas. Pain will make people feel uncomfortable all over, requiring physical strength and will to resist, and the combat power will be affected. But fatal injuries, in addition to pain, directly damage the body and also affect the battle situation. Even, Dark Fruit has the most powerful rule healing ability among all devil fruits. But judging by Rock's ability to blend into the dark space, developed by Rock's Dark Fruit, already several levels higher than Blackbeard expressiveness. As for the explosive fruit, Kazan also doesn't believe that Rox only has the expressive power of humanoid bomb and explosive punch. Of course, with the appearance of these two devil fruits, it also shows that Rox did not live to the new era. Soon, the entire island was covered with quicksand-like darkness. Dual Island seems to be a huge black hole floating on the sea, trying to swallow everything that falls into the darkness. Above the darkness, the figure of Rox emerged. His shirt was completely blown up in 49 Dragon Ball storms. Rox has no scars on his whole body. Fighting for so many years can only prove that he is powerful, or that he acquired the Dark Fruit ability very early. Kazan thinks it's the latter. Even the Rox may have reached the point of awakening. This is the first time I have shown this fruit. The most vicious ability in history is the nemesis of all capable people. You are really good, and you are qualified to let me attack with all my strength. Rox did not move his feet and began to wander in the dark. Dark Fruit? I am not a person with abilities in the traditional sense. After all, Rox is the pinnacle of the world. Kazan naturally will not slack off and has a countermeasure in mind. Ha 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 ha. Rox laughed out loud, echoing 077 on Dual Island. Suddenly, Locke's laughter stopped abruptly. His face darkened. His eyes narrowed into long strips. In the eyes, there is a bloodthirsty light with a strong sense of oppression. It's going to look good next time. Dark Tornado. On the palm of Rox, a huge black Uzumaki suddenly appeared, spinning extremely fast, and the darkness appeared out of thin air in front of Rox, and then was absorbed into his palm endlessly. And the target is Kazan in the sky. However, Kazan floated in the air calmly, not affected at all. Rox couldn't help but pause for breath, and drops of sweat dripped from his forehead. Isn't he a fruit-capable user? Dark Fruit didn't work on him. How could it be? Kazan's performance is completely beyond Rox's knowledge. Dark Fruit can attract the opponent to itself with the gravitational force of a black hole. No matter how far apart it is, the opponent cannot escape unless the ability user suspends a skill or is interrupted by an attack. And even if it has the speed of light, when it comes into contact with a person with the ability of the opponent's devil fruit will be invalid. This ability is the nemesis of all ability users. especially for a person like Rocks with the strongest physical skills, as long as he grabs the entity of the ability user and then explosive punch passes through the chest. Almost no ability user can withstand this move. But this doesn't help Kazan at all. Don't waste your energy, dark fruit is killing me. Let's play something real. At the moment, Kazan's eyes fixed, and Conqueror's hockey locks on Rocks. Kill by knowledge. Read people's minds. Simultaneous release. The next moment, Kazan squeezed his palm to death, and all the dark clouds gathered around him, and the sky above the island was instantly thundered and thundered. What Logia is best at is building its own battle arena. Rocks placed darkness on the island, making the ground his ideal battlefield. What about Kazan? Belonged to the sky. But at this moment, tornadoes immediately blew up above the sea, and the whirlwind absorbed the seawater into the air, forming 88 huge sea tornadoes. When the sea tornado reached a certain size, it was cut off by the wind blade in the next second. Under the dual control of foam fruit and lion fruit, a huge amount of seawater floated in the midair above the sea surface, lost contact with the seawater on the sea surface, rumbling like water dragons swimming in the sky. This is synergy with the ability of lion fruit huffing fruit to make seawater form in the air. 88 ways, the attack of the Western King. Kazan directly opened up. Suddenly, the seawater made a huge roar in the sky, as if the sea area was weeping. There was a strong wind blowing around. Shiki hastened to float himself higher, otherwise he would be implicated. There are huge water dragons swimming under his feet, which is very terrifying. Kaido felt the moisture blowing and immediately aroused goosebumps all over his body. He didn't need to be tied up at all, and his hands had already consciously grasped the rope, afraid that Lin would let go. He would be caught by the water below. Devour. Roar. Accompanied by the roar of dragons that shook the sky and the earth, the Bajong water dragon in the air seemed to come alive. The transparent body made of water is also covered by the quiet green wind, like a layer of storm armor. The pupil of the giant dragon is fixed on Rocks. Hoo-hoo. There were bursts of roaring again. The giant dragons, wrapped in endless dragon power, are about to aim at the Rocks and rush to kill them. Wherever it passed, strong winds blew up and water mist rose violently. The whole sky is pouring down with rain. For a while, the entire island was surging with wind and clouds. Rock's face became even more excited after seeing it, and his eyes were full of red light. His upper body was bare, Conqueror's hockey was fully opened, and when he lifted his hands, the darkness on the ground turned into a series of dark tornadoes, and in the next moment, it turned into a beast that looked like it came from hell, gnashing its teeth and growling toward the sky. And Rocks is more like the king of a herd, surrounded by wild beasts. As long as there is a command, the dark creatures will attack. Time seems to freeze at this second. Sky. Kazan stands on a green dragon head, surrounded by 88 water dragons, wandering up and down, left and right, dancing wildly around him, baring their teeth and claws, with a winding body, waiting for orders at any time to attack directly. Ground. Rocks is surrounded by endless darkness. The darkness is raging, the giant beast roaring from hell. Rocks only reveals half of his body, seems to be a part of the herd, leading the whole herd. It's just sea water, it's not enough. Rocks grinned. Kazan said indifferently, I'm sorry to tell you that my abilities are not limited to that. Present. Kazan twisted again with the other hand. The ground of Dual Island began to shake violently. The stones rolled, the wind was strong, and the sea water poured in. Rumble. There was a huge roar, and the whole island seemed to be crying. The surrounding 100-meter ground suddenly bulged piece by piece, and the hundreds of tons of angry figures escaped the control of gravity and flew into the sky, constantly changing in mid-air, as if they were fabricated by the Creator. In a blink of an eye, it was suddenly condensed into several hideous and evil creatures. The sharp horns, sharp teeth, and bone-like armor were obviously evil god creatures from Yukon. Only. The island is completely shrouded in the darkness of the rocks, and the soil brought out is also filled with a layer of pitch black. The darkness also added a mysterious atmosphere to this terrifying creation made of clay. And these dark clay creations completely surrounded Rocks at this moment. Countless beast eyes glared at Rocks angrily. 36 paths, God's Barash. In a flash, Kazan and Rocks stared at the same time. The abilities of both sides collide. The earth and the sea trembled. Boom. One after another water dragons smashed directly into the ground. A series of earth-made creations are coming. Pounced by it. One after another of darkness was torn apart and then mixed and condensed again. The whole earth cracked, and several huge holes burst out. The dark creature suddenly pounced on it, bit its teeth, and exploded instantly, and the darkness shattered. 3 creations fight together. In a short time, the entire island became riddled with holes. Rumble. The waters of Duel Island are already churning with huge waves. The tens of feet high tsunami was impacted and expanded outward. Hakanosu. Crazy. That's rocks fighting Kazan from the air pirates. The Duel Island Bay is about to collapse. What level of battle is this? It's terrible. I'm afraid even Hakanosu will be submerged. Rewind to Skull Rock. It's the safest place in all of Hakanosu. Seeing the huge waves coming, the pirates on Hakanosu Island were scared to pee and looked at the silver lights on the sea with fear, which was the tsunami caused by the battle. The power of the two fighting is actually so great. Look from afar. Duel Island seems to be bombarded by various elements in white, green, and black all the time. Even the pirate ship on the Hakanosu port is shaking and unsteady at the moment, and it is about to wash up on the shore along the waves. The islands so far away are trembling. Duel Island. High altitude. Shiki, Newgate, and others also frowned. Everyone couldn't help retreating again. The power in front of him is too terrifying. Even if they are top powerhouses, they should keep a safe enough distance to avoid being affected. Redfield turned his head and saw Hakanosu has been partially submerged. Hiss. Kaido was hanging in the air, looking at the scene below. His heels were numb all of a sudden. What the hell is this? And at this moment, water explosions, soil explosions, and darkness explosions on the island did not stop for a second. Neither Kazan nor the rocks care about any of that. They only have each other in their eyes now. Only this battle. Call. Rock's body was already covered with mud. Black smoke was rising from the wounds, and his whole body seemed to be covered with endless tentacles, but the red light in his eyes did not stop flickering. Dark. Not only absorbing damage, but also devouring everything. Next, I will let you eat the results yourself. Rox waved his hand. A huge black hole suddenly appeared in front of him. The previous water dragon, the soil, had been twisted into an indescribable piece again, and it jumped out of the dark breath directly and smashed towards Kazan in the sky. Those moves, have they all been devoured to speak of darkness? Although it was twisted into a ball without any form, the matter was still those matter. Dragon Ball Storm. Boom. One after another green dragons roared out, drilling into the mixture of water and soil. Suddenly burst in the middle. Everything fell apart. Kazan, who retreated, could not help but frown. I can't help but think that Rock's development of dark fruit is still different from Blackbeard in the original book. Blackbeard can rely on darkness to devour the dead things in the town and then release the crushed substances through the darkness. In Rock's, it's more like catching the opponent's attack, swallowing it in darkness, and then releasing it. A bit tricky. I have to admit, these two abilities of Rock's are a bit tricky. Dark fruit, absorb damage, absorb attack. It is the strongest shield. Explosive fruit, a finger or a hair can produce an explosion, and it has the ability to self-explode, instant skills, and in a small range, it is more handy than shock fruit. It is the strongest spear. Certainly. Kazan doesn't think that this amount of explosion is the limit of Rocks. He might even have a third devil fruit. It's not a wise choice to fight recklessly with this kind of madman. On the island, Rocks watched the big explosion in the sky and couldn't help but stare. He is a person with abilities, so he is naturally afraid of seawater. Previously, it was dark fruit, which turned into a black hole-like abyss mouth, taking in seawater and soil. Now, with the high-altitude explosion, countless seawater turned into water droplets, muddy, and landed on Duel Island. The whole island is a pile of mud floating around. Rocks was covered in mud all over his body, and he was in such a mess in this battle. Kazan's ability allows him to completely occupy the sky. The distance can even be extended infinitely, and there is enough time to deal with the incoming attack, and the dark gravity seems to have no effect on him yet. Dark gravity doesn't work on Kazan. Rocks, who lost the strongest control skills, also have a headache. Is this guy an ability user? More importantly, Rocks must have noticed that he was locked by two strands of hockey. One is Conqueror's hockey, leading to the ceiling of one's knowledge and color characteristics. It was Kazan's skill when he first boarded Hakanosu. and the other is the color of knowledge. It's more like an all-pervasive consciousness invasion. It would be a bad idea if Kazan read his true thoughts. Rocks are full of secrets. Naturally, be very vigilant against this reading people's heart that invades at any time. Fighting doesn't make any sense. Only by bursting out with all your strength and shooting down with one move. Present. Rocks immediately went berserk. Only a few meters wide, semicircular huge pit was left on the island. In the blink of an eye. Already at higher altitudes than Kazan. As for Kazan, who has always been fully informed, he used 1 second to foresee the future and noticed Rock's intentions. Can't help being shocked. This guy now has the same fist and bone conflict as Garp. Ranged Conqueror's entangling attack. Conquerors that detonates its own starfish at an attack distance of tens of meters. There are foreseeing the future and killing by knowledge. How can I let you succeed? Moment. Kazan moved ahead, wearing Susanoo armor around his body. A layer of green storm armor emerges. He dodges down. At the same time, a floating imprint starts. The dual island, which was already devastated, trembled again at this moment. And above the sky, with Rock's body as the center, several extremely thick jet-black lightnings spread to the surroundings. The sound of rocks has been neighing over the thunder. The sound is like a bell, and every word hits the sky. Boom, fist detonates. Having said all that, Rock's body was still in mid-air when he swung his right fist wrapped around Highlight. But it has already been blasted out with a heavy punch. The terrifying fist wind spanned dozens of meters in an instant. It will detonate all matter in the world in an instant. Shield Island. At the same time, the island where the battle was originally fought rose from the ground, leaving behind a raging sea. The island stood in front of Kazan, forming a huge island shield, and his body is covered with a wind armor compressed by the wind dragon. The bang fist arrived immediately, and the plane of this island exploded completely. Scattered conquerors, almost to the sky. Boom. Zazizi. Razor is raging in the sky. This island, which had carried the bones of countless losers, collapsed in an instant.